Or a
Trying to
jaw
start
getting
that
whacked, you know?
Yeah.
We're just talking with Randy Zimmerman about his first car he ever owned.
Oh.
Genteel beginning for Randy.
64
wanna-
Skylark. That's the first car I ever owned.
64 Skylark.
car.
Nice.
Mine was a 67 Cutlass. White
I
with
went-
red interior.
This was faded red with white trim. And I
Faded
loved
red.
that car until I got hit.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Well, I rear-ended someone and kind of bit my hood.
This guy hit me. I saw him coming out of the corner of my eye, and I tensed up, and the passing gear on the car kicked in right before he slammed into me. He hit my rear axle, sent me spinning.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
It's drunk driver. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
I
did you
replaced
get
it
hurt
with
then, or was it all just car damage?
Oh no, it was complete total. The guy was driving like a madman. If I hadn't hit the passing gear, I'd have been dead.
Oh,
Which
Jesus.
is
I
which
felt
is
him jerk
amazing.
forward just as he slammed into me. So
Holy man,
With
he must
the-
have been flying, dude.
he was
with
he was
American steel frame on it, no
Yes.
less.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's still
Imagine if it
total.
was one of
Hey, Marcus.
today's little cars, dude. Oh, my God.
Yeah, and it wasn't a big car, but boy, it was an old car. It was a dependable
Mhm.
car. I replaced it with a '68 Electra. I love
Oh,
that
very
car.
nice.
Was a tank. That car was
Well, you
a
know,
fantastic
Shadowhawk,
tank.
I had a friend that I went to their funeral and they had pictures, and he was in the sleeper of and his partner was driving the 18-wheeler, and another 18-wheeler hit it, and they had a picture of what the cab used to look like, and it was just looked like a shell of fiberglass. Just it didn't even look like it was ever a truck.
Oh,
Wow.
There's not much
That's
left
crazy.
when something like that major hits you.
no.
Yeah, I've been pretty lucky.
Talking about train wrecks.
There he is.
Major, major
Hey.
accidents. But
Yeah.
hey, Russ.
Yeah, I went spinning, but it's been on ice, Randy.
Oh,
It's like wheel of fortune.
I got hit like
Without
that
the crowd.
twice. I had a Malibu, a dark
Oh,
blue
no.
Malibu, and she spun me around twice. I
Wow.
was pulling out from the UPS office, and I didn't even see her hit me, but she come up over a hill so fast and just slammed right into me. It was
Good
terrible.
God,
Yeah. Lucky to be
Yeah,
alive.
You're okay, Randy.
Thanks, Marcus.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah,
been
but
really lucky with the car accidents, I guess.
Missed death by
Oh,
that much quite
I
a few
have too.
times.
And here tops them all. In 1990, I turned over in a gas truck with 2,000 gallons of gas.
Oh man,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah,
lucky
that
to be
had been
alive
scary,
too,
bro.
Yeah.
I know. If
one more gallon, that would have been it.
Yeah.
one spark, one more gallon. I think it was
Yeah.
already full capacity. I'm not sure. It was we made the curve, but the surge of the gas, which was so abrupt, sent us over. Just the surge. That's when I learned you don't come to a stop when you got liquid behind you.
No. Get carried by
Yeah,
a wave.
not unless that tank is like completely full and
Empty.
you got no
Yeah.
sloshing going on.
We were lucky it was wintertime and the pavement was wet. Let's just say that,
Right.
and that we eased it over. We still I had to crawl on the steering wheel to lift that big heavy door up to get out, and I couldn't. I was on my back. I was slung across from the passenger side, and it was on my eldest adopted daughter's birthday, her 11th birthday. She could have lost her grandfather and her father all in one day, but fortunately, God had other plans. He says, "No, you still need to make comics."
That's right.
I was wearing my Batman hat, had to throw it away, with the bat symbol there, because it was full of gas. It had come off my head. I don't even remember hitting the ground. My back was on the ground. My feet were right up in the air where the steering wheel was. and I knocked the gear shift off with my knee on the way.
Oh,
He
ow.
tried to hold me up as my father-in-law tried to hold me up as long as he could. And, you know, he said, get out. It's going to blow. And I said, I can't, I'm on my back, you know, or whatever. He said, you get your ass up out of here. To yank me up. And I had to get on that wobbly steering wheel to lift that door to crawl out, you know, because that windshield's pretty substantial. There's no kicking it out, you know.
No.
Could you still roll your window down in your door? I would have just rolled the window down.
It was on
I
his
didn't
side.
think about that. I mean, you know, I'm just thinking.
Yeah, you're probably panicking trying to get out of there. I mean,
we were, yeah. And
you had your back on the passenger side window, right?
Never blew up, and I think he said we lost only about 300 or 400 gallon, which is amazing because it took a while to get somebody out there because it was kind of remote. The reason we turned it over was it was so foggy, you know, we couldn't see the stop sign, and by the time we did and made the curve, the surge sent us over. So,
oh no.
And there were other people that were taking the roads. There was one woman we had to flag down, or she would have slammed into it because it was so foggy, you know. Not nice to. And then we looked for, I don't know, couple hours to find a suitable truck, and we hopped back in and did the run. You know, that we didn't do with the other truck. And the one we got was an older truck. In fact, there was a hole where my feet was on the passenger side. I could see the road going by.
The old Flintstones car.
Yeah, we took it a little bit slower that day.
That mattered, but dependable. Yeah.
I had an old, 75 Malibu that was like that. The passenger side, the only thing that was keeping the air from rushing in was the floor mat. As soon as you picked up the floor mat, you could look right down into the street.
Rex's one-upper. Yeah, well, I mean, that's my ultimate crash. I've got some other hair-raising stuff. Maybe that's why I still got my hair. Russ, what was your favorite? What was your first car you ever owned?
My first car was a Ford Escort Mark I. You wouldn't know what that was. It was a great car.
It sounds sexy.
Yeah, it was purple.
That was the same as the GT, I think, here.
There you go.
Yeah, I think it is similar to the GT. Yeah. Some idiot piled into it and destroyed it. So
those were fun little cars too. Did you have the 5-speed, Russ?
Oh no, it's 4-speed. It was very
4-speed?
Very pedestrian, very English. It was a little tank. It was a great car.
Yeah.
I had mine for about 3-4 years, man. I love that little car.
Oh, cool.
Last night I saw a Dodge Charger, but it was wrapped in like not lenticular, but it was like a hollow full.
Oh, cool.
You know, where it, I don't know, shimmered.
The color changing. Yeah, they got paint that will do that now too.
It was just more like the silver, you know, change with the.
Was that like that stripe paint?
Yeah, I don't know if that's paint or if that's a wrap or what, you know. But
paint it on stripes. It's great.
It definitely caught your eye, you know. It's like, what am I looking at here? You know, it's unique.
Yeah, there's some guy down the road here that I see. He's got a mirror finish like a red chrome on a big Ford truck. Yeah. It's his whole truck is this. I don't know if it's paint or if it's a wrap or what, but it looks really nice.
Well, I do see the English mini cars around here, but you know, with some, I'm thinking if you ever have a wreck in one of those, they're not going to pry you out.
Yeah, you're gone.
Nope. Oh yeah,
I'm like Randy. I'm too tall to get in one of those things.
In all fairness, I think all cars now have a certain standard, like with the bars in the doors and the frame. Whereas back in the day, minis were death traps. They were.
Randy was telling us about a car that had a American steel frame, because we used to have sturdy steel frames here in America, and he still told it due to a drunk driver. So
it can happen. Yeah.
I'd rather be in an old Cadillac or something, because those things are like a tank. Now you might get 2 gallons to the 2 miles to the gallon, but
Yeah,
I had some little girl ran into the ass end of my '77 Camaro, and that was the last year for the big steel bumpers.
Oh yeah,
and I was getting ready to turn into my father-in-law's house on 4th of July. We had food in the car. We're going to have a big old party, and as soon as I hit the brakes and was getting ready to turn, all of a sudden I look in my mirror. I see this girl just coming up on me, and she hit me doing about 35 or so, pushed me past the driveway. I got out and I was pissed because I loved my Camaro, I ran around the back and looked at it and I was like, hardly a mark. Then I looked over at her car and the radiator fluid was gushing, the whole front end was gone.
That radiator touches the engine. It's a total.
When I was younger, I had a Nissan Patrol and I totaled a Nissan Micra. Completely destroyed it with my bonnet.
I wish
not a scratch on my car. Not a scratch.
I wish I had taken a picture of my Colorado that I drive now, because I ended a Tuesday show and was going to work, and about took the whole engine off, the front end. I drove that for 2 months, no leaks. Had to wait on them to get parts due to the pandemic. And the guy that sold it to me is even dead now. But the only reason they didn't total it, if it only had like 5,000 miles on it, maybe. I mean, it's only got about 11 now on it. But now they had to rebuild the whole front end, I wish
you're lucky they didn't total it.
Yeah. I mean, that was the only reason, because the mileage was so low. Had it had a couple more thousand miles on it, they would have totaled it. It wouldn't have.
You wouldn't have got nowhere near what it was worth either, probably.
No.
Yeah. Well,
insurance. Daylight robbery.
Yeah, they do. They like to fight. Like, I'm not giving you anything, and it's like, what am I paying for? But you got to have it. That's I mean, as far as car insurance, now life insurance, you can take your life in your own hands, but car insurance, you got to at least have liability. Here in America. I don't know.
It's no fault. We have to carry it. Yeah.
Yeah. Now they got even something smarter than just that UK Mini Cooper or anything. They've got these little smart cars that are even smaller than them.
Yeah, but little smart cars have titanium frames on them.
Oh, do
those
they?
Those little fuckers are strong.
Yeah. Hey, if I go out and drive,
I reckon I go out and drive
like.
Probably.
Like, I go out and drive every night and like something like tissue paper, but I want to be Tony Stark with Iron Man, armor on. But no, my work truck has about 1,300 pounds in the back of it, and I was actually rear-ended a few years ago and hardly went anywhere. But that was like less than a week after I wiped out my Colorado. So I was like, what now?
Yeah.
Why? She was on her phone. I said, I had my lights on. I got overhead lights going, woo, not making any noise, but they're lit up, and I'm fogging everything. So it's like, what did you not see?
Yeah.
She had no.
It was because of the fog coming out of your truck, Rex. She got lost in the fog.
Yeah.
Must have been it.
Talking on her phone. Yeah. Facts. Just facts, man.
Oi to the chat. Hello,
Eric and Boyd in the house. We got Pale Rider in the house. We had to talk cars there for a little while.
Pale
Marcus
Pale, Jinko, Hex Allen in the house. Hello.
Well, hello. This is the 4 o'clock shadow, episode 1196 with Russ and Randy. I'm telling you, man, you got to work on those mug shots, because they really do look like mug shots of you two. The ones that I use for the thumbnail for this one, it's like you're two rough looking dudes, man.
Is that the one you from the campaign?
Yeah.
We're all looking all serious and mean.
Yeah, looking serious on the campaign. Yeah. Buy my book.
Yeah.
I want to Photoshop those and put like a wanted, above and then a reward beneath.
That was my deeply concerned look. And anyway, I had that picture taken when I was on another regular radio interview. So yeah.
Oh wow.
Many years ago.
Well, little old lady from Pasadena, Randy, you know that story, like they never went anywhere except to the store and then back
Yeah.
home. And when I took over the 1967, or no, I'm sorry. See, I'm inverting things again. 67 Cutlass. It was actually owned by my probably great aunts that only had like 42,000 miles on it, and that was after my brother driving it a little while because that was his first car, and then he traded it off to me. You know, I'm still wearing
Cutlass were nice,
underwear that I inherited from years ago, but. You know, that's what you do in families. You pass down stuff, and that's how I wound up with that car.
I got a little red Chevette from my sister like that. She couldn't keep up with the payments, so I took it.
There you go. There you
go. Way back when not too long after I had my first daughter, I had a little. It was bigger than the Chevette, but it was the next smallest car. I think the little Chevy Citation. You remember those?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This wasn't quite a clown car, but it was close. I'd drive it back and forth to Cleveland every other weekend, 5 hours there and each way. So.
Oh God.
Well, you know about clown cars, it's the gift that keeps on giving.
That's right. They just never stop coming out.
Coming out and coming out and coming out of it.
Yep.
Old man jokes.
Like when you get down to the end and it's the little midget ones coming out. You know.
Yeah.
Eric and Boyd says the only thing Rex will pass down is gas. You are correct, sir. I'll pass on that gas. There's nothing worse than abdominal pains. Yeah.
Actually,
our principal at our school was an ex state trooper, I think, or at least police officer that dealt with that type of stuff. I think he was a state trooper. I can't remember exactly, but because state troopers are out on the road all the time here in the States. I have to make that little caveat because Russ is joining us from the mighty UK.
It's not mighty at the moment.
Yeah, well, I know. Yeah, well, you're a realist or a cynic, but he's still got the taxi cab that he drove in.
Careful what you say, Russ. You know they're cracking down on free speech over there.
He still yells at parked cars, though. Yeah, there you
go. Russ, I know you could kick all of our asses, except maybe Shadowhawks, and he's falling apart. So you could probably do that. Now,
yeah, you probably beat me at this
point. I'm pretty much on the way. I'm getting on a bit now.
Yeah. Now, are you? Yeah, I was going to ask you, how's your workout routine coming?
Yeah, good. Yeah, I train. I train 3 times a week, teach twice a week, and
wow.
I do a little training regime once a day as well. So
and what discipline is that you got?
I'm in Korean karate, but I've trained Wateroo karate for 25 years, 30 years.
Oh, damn.
So yeah, I was Shotokan before that. Did some Taekwondo as well. So
yeah.
Oh yeah, the rest could probably definitely take me out.
Been in and out of dojos since I was 12. So there you go.
Yeah, I did mixed martial arts for about 10 years, but I had to give it up. Okay. So
yeah, it's it's tough on the body.
Sorry, boy.
And then as you get older, you have to learn to not train like you're 25 anymore. Because
I guess
that just leads to a bad time.
I guess keeping limber is the thing over time, right?
Yeah, just staying moving. I mean, when I sit in the chair and draw, I stiffen up. Just sitting down for drinking a cup of tea, I stiffen up. So it's good. You got to keep moving. Yeah.
So you got to have a good warm up routine, right?
Yeah, warm up. Yeah, I suppose. Yeah. Stretching, splits. I can't do full box splits, but I can go probably about 75% down there now. I'm getting on a bit.
I used to be able to do that. My knees are too bad now, man. I can't.
Yeah, it's killing knees and you just all your tendons start to stiffen up. You can't do quite unless you're Superfoot Bill Wallace, who can still kick.
Bill was crazy.
Yeah, he's like 85 and he's still kicking up, vertical.
Yeah, he can kick like a foot over his head or something. It's insane.
It's amazing. yeah. So with apples and pears, you hear in the Cockney shows. God blimey. Love a duck.
Hey,
Apples
Mrs.
and pears.
This is good stuff.
Mrs. G.
People piling in here, folks.
And we got Genuine Dave from Genuine Comics in the house. Hail, Dave.
Absolutely.
There he is.
Here's one of your great, let's see, UK cars, Russ. You might self-identify. I don't know.
Good Lord, that man's a giant.
Oh my God.
What the hell is that?
Dude, you get hit in that thing, you are completely toast. Holy
mackerel. Yeah, a 3-wheeler. I couldn't only, he should put on the door if he has room. I only had room for one headlight.
I doubt there's not even room for pedals in there, is there? He's got to stick his feet out.
I mean, you can't even do the Flintstone number with his feet.
Yeah. He needs some good bumper car protection on that car.
Real bad. He's probably got $1 million insurance on that thing because that ain't going in. It ain't going anywhere. It's hot today. Yeah, I know. I had to give. I heard a knock at the door earlier, Mrs. G. It was a dragonfly wanting a drink of water. I kid you not.
He's bopping his little head into the door. Help me! Help me!
Help me! I'm melting. Exactly. Oh man.
How did Jeremy Clarkson get in that car? Because he's quite tall.
Didn't Mr. 1 foot at a time one of those?
1 foot at a time.
Hey, Headless.
Hail, Headless.
Mr. Bean is a national treasure over here. I just enjoy it. They really didn't do that many episodes. I was surprised, but they've actually got an animated films. Mr. Bean.
Yeah.
If you like Mr. Bean on YouTube, you can actually watch some animated Mr. Bean, which is always fun.
Some good comedy up there if you look. Yeah.
Russ, he did a couple of Bond movies.
He did. No, he did. He didn't. They weren't Bond movies. They were Johnny English. Yeah. So they were Bond parodies.
Okay. Mm-hmm. But he also was in 2 James Bond movies that I know of.
He was in the one. Oh, I can't remember which one it was. It was with Pierce Brosnan, wasn't it? He was an attaché over in the Far East or something.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. I forgot about the finger gun.
Yeah. He's a good actor and he's very very funny. His delivery is fantastic. Yeah.
Well, I like that. I heard something recently where he was addressing a very serious issue there in the UK. So he's very outspoken and very level-headed.
That was some time ago, actually. That was years ago that he started that, and he was making a point. John Cleese was saying the same things about.
I love John Cleese, man.
About freedom of speech, and the first thing they come for is the comedians, and that's of course what everybody did. 10 years ago, before all this ridiculousness started in the Western world, although it had been going on before then, but before it really showed itself. Starting to ban comedians, stop people from making fun of others, because that's what comedy is. Comedy is about communication and about dealing with human issues, and you laugh about those things. That's what comedy's there for. And you push the boundaries, and some people push it a bit too far, but that's what it's for. And that's what he was worried about, because that's how you stifle freedom of speech.
Yep.
You come for the artists, you come for comedians first. That's what you do.
Yeah, and I mean, if anybody doesn't know, there's even been censorship in comics, and that's all. There's been discussions since. That
none in ours, though.
No,
none in ours.
Well, Russ, you have wiped out a breast.
There's self-censorship. That's because we want as wide a readership as possible. But nobody tells us we can't do something.
Right.
Oh, that's nice.
It's part of the fun. Yeah.
Unfortunately, we did have the comic book code and all that stuff that went on here for a while. So.
Yeah, but they chased that off, though. It didn't last more than 20 years.
No, it didn't last very long, but it's long enough to.
Long enough to cause a hassle and to
if we would
bring it to the forefront of everybody who didn't read comics mind that it was all comics for kids stuff.
Yeah.
So we're still trying to chase off that.
If we'd have just been drawing the Atlantean for the European market, the nipples would have stayed in.
There you go.
Well, Red Sonja told us, showed us we got to have some nips every now and then in our comics.
Just the occasional one. It's okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Lizzie. Good to see you, buddy. Oh, he's going out to get the daughter and the grandbaby.
Get the grandbabies, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cart them around.
Well, come on back when you get back, Els.
I hope he's getting a fare for all that driving around. He's getting great memories, and so is his granddaughters. Time with Pawpaw, as I don't know, what did you call your grandfather over there, Russ? What was your granddad?
Yeah, granddad, but I didn't really know them. They were dead. So
yeah.
So I don't ever remember. I remember one side, my mother's father, and I remember seeing him all of maybe twice, and I don't ever remember addressing him as anything. So I wouldn't. I would say that it's a mix. Lots of people call granddad, but I've heard people call him pops and all kinds of different things. So it's a mix.
Pawpaw, yeah. I had one grandfather that was
never heard that one.
That was a pawpaw.
Yeah, that's more of a southern United States thing. Right? Like where I'm at, where I grew up, we just called him Grandpa, and then whatever his first name was, because you have two grandpas if you're lucky. So I had Grandpa George and Grandpa John.
Yeah,
but that was only for a couple of years. Grandpa John died right away. Grandpa George died, I think, when I was about 10 or so.
I just knew that Russ was saying I called mine Sensei.
Sensei. Well, I can actually trace back my generations of my senseis. So there you go. My sensei grandfather. There you go.
And how long have you been doing the Korean?
The Korean stuff. It's called Korean karate, but it's actually based on Wado-ryu, which is what I was doing for 25 years anyway. And I've been doing that for 8 years. So yeah.
And who trained you? You did have, was it a multitude of, or did
in Wado-ryu I was under a guy called Peter Spanton, who's passed away now. And he was 9th Dan, so I got my first 3 Dan grades, but via him. He was the head of the panel, so I consider them worthy grades. And he was Suzuki, I think he was under, so I can trace my karate heritage back to when they first brought karate over to the UK. So
yeah, you said you were in a dojo very early on in your life. How did that happen?
Oh, it was just a local Shotokan club, and I went down there and started. So,
well, I know there's an interest because for 4 years I would pick up kids after school.
Careful how you say that.
To karate. Yeah, really.
It was a bus driver. Yeah,
to take them as a van driver.
I know what you meant. Right? We all knew what you meant.
To take them to you guys. To take them to karate class, and
right.
Then they would beat
one of them wound up. One of the students that was like 16 at the time, she's in her early 20s now, wound up marrying my nephew.
Oh wow!
Oh wow!
And she was like, "I know where you're from.
Is she still doing karate?
My driver."
Is she still training?
I don't think she is.
No, not many people do.
Yeah, I mean, now
you lose a lot.
The older ones that was actually helping the guy over the dojo, Mr. Lee, that would kind of, so she would help the younger students, and do things with them.
Yeah.
But because it is kind of an apprenticeship, you pass on to others.
You do,
don't
yeah.
Oh,
that's what you should be doing. You should, you see a lot of people give up at brown belt. You see a lot of people well, not a lot. You see a few people maybe getting their first Dan and then saying, "Oh, I know it," and walking away, and they don't. You've got to continue. You start your journey, your proper journey after your first Dan. You start really learning things then about the arts.
Right.
Up until then, you're just telling your body what to do, because doing whatever martial art you might be doing is completely foreign to what your body wants to do. So you're forcing yourself to do those things, exercising, strengthening, reinforcing good habits. And then once you get past your Dan grade, your first Dan grade, then you start to learn more about how you apply the art that you've just learned the basics of. And then you learn more about yourself, and you learn with other people. And then it's most important as well to carry on through those grades and start giving it back by teaching and just, reiterating what you've learned along the way. So yeah, it is. It's kind of like that.
Crooked Painter in the house. Hello, sir. Rex still wears high karate.
That stuff.
I always use Brute, skin Brute.
Brute. Great smell of Brute.
Those crazy old high karate commercials. There'd be like a guy in a phone booth, and there'd be like 30 chicks around him trying.
Superheroes don't have to work out like that, do they? Or even barbarians. They're just kind of born.
Barbarians don't.
Yeah.
Their daily life is a workout.
Yeah.
Yep. That is
forged in the fires of battle. There you go.
Russ, are you? I know Randy is, but are you Arrow Comics? Do you self-identify as Arrow Comics, or are you
self-identify?
God dang it!
Yeah, I can. No, I don't know that I'm Arrow Comics. Randy is Arrow Comics.
Okay.
And he kindly allows me to work with him and publish under that name.
Honestly, though, Arrow Comics
is a respected name. So
is a collection of individual creators.
Right.
That there isn't really a Arrow Comics. If you look inside the Arrow Comics, the address for Arrow Comics is actually my house. So we don't have official offices. We don't have a secretary or anything. We're individual creators that are banded together to help self-promote.
Yeah, but look at that.
Get our products out there.
That's not green screen. That's some of his comics, folks.
That's a comic rack back there. Yeah.
So
it's real.
Yeah.
From a retailer out of a drugstore. Right. It's an actual, It's got that squeak when you move it enough.
Yeah. And you got that nice acrid smell.
Squeak.
Yeah.
It's not really a smell to it, but it's it's good. Oh, well, that's a whole different. Yeah. It does.
I sniff my comics. I'm a preferred addict.
Nothing like a box of comics from the attic. Yeah.
I haven't seen that commercial. The new DC Connect. Maybe they're going. They come out with this free monthly, and I picked it up at my local comic book shop. It's newsprint. It's still got some of the smell to it. It's newsprint.
Got that old time smell to it. That's
so good. DC's going cheap with the printing on this. I don't know that the older ones. I'd have to check them out and see if they've. I think they used to have the slick stock, but now they're going to newsprint.
I just got turned on to their DC Finest books. I don't know if you've seen these or not. That they've been out for a couple of years. I never knew they existed.
I know. I just saw something on. That's a good one with Justice Society. That's the Golden Age stuff. Yeah.
That's got All-Star 3 through 12 in it.
Yeah, I just learned about that yesterday, Randy. I saw a post on X on some of the ones that were coming out. And it doesn't surprise me because when Dan DiDio was in charge over there, Plastic Man.
This is all of the Jack Cole Plastic Mans from the start.
So that's from Police Comics, which was Fawcett.
Yeah. No, that's quality here. Quality
wonderful
comics.
Skull cover there.
And it's all Jack Cole. None of his other helpers working. This is Jack Cole working everything on it. It's just a beautiful volume.
Are those like the showcases that were about 500 pages, or do they vary in size?
Yes, but they're between 500 and 600 pages a piece, but they're on super slick paper and beautiful color. Fantastic color. I had another one here.
That's been a criticism of Marvel and DC's dollar line that they used to have. I don't know if they still have it, but that the coloring was more modern and it kind of ruined the actual original colors.
Yeah. Yes, it did. Nope, that's not it. I've got another one too of Legion of Superheroes, and it's got it starts in a Mortimer and Jack Abel area in Adventure Comics. I think maybe Action Comics, which is not my favorite combo of artists. Jack Abel
Silver Age,
is like one step above Vinnie Coletta in my opinion. But it also has every one of the Dave Cockrum stories in it. All of the Dave Cockrum work, all the short stories, and everything that Cockrum did on Legion is in that one book.
I know Mike Grell was a Legion artist, you know, but
it ends with the first Grell.
The one I first cut my teeth on was Kurt Swan with Jim Shooter doing the writing, and he was just a young boy when writing those stories back in the 60s. It was one of those 60-cent reprints, though. That was like an annual. It was so thick. You know,
one of the first comics I bought was Legion of Superheroes #1. They only reprinted, and it had Swan reprints, and it only lasted for 4 issues. But I love that book. It had a classic Nick Cardy cover on it of Superboy slamming Mon-El up against a lamppost.
And there was only 4.
Beautiful.
Yeah, there's one where they've got the flags that they're flying characters.
There's one with Computo in it. Yeah,
and that's where Triplicate Girl got killed and became had to do a duo after that because they killed one of that.
What a group, you know, what a team.
Yeah.
Yes, I love the Legion all the way up through Levitz.
Randy, were you aware? Yeah, Levitz I look at as like Roy Thomas when
he really kicked ass on the Legion.
When he knows comic book lore, he brought back All-Star comics after a 20-year hiatus.
Another great run
from the Golden Age all the way to the Bronze Age.
Wally Wood and Stanton and Bob Layton come in on that. Just beautiful stuff.
Yeah. And you got 2 biggies that were kind of introduced, Huntress and Power Girl in that series. So there was some first appearances there.
Although fantastic pre-crisis stuff, just great.
Yeah, pre-crisis, and I guess so many different writers came in and did what they wanted, and the lore got so confuddled, right, that they had to have a crisis. But now that introduced me to characters that I was unaware of, Randy, like Anthro. I'd never heard of Anthro. You know, very short run, almost like Beware the Creeper or Hawk and Dove in the late 60s. And, you know, Steve Ditko worked on Hawk and Dove. And a lot of those started out in Showcase, which what an ideal, you know. And Marvel had its same thing too. And then there was a lot of...
They ran Marvel Premiere and Marvel Preview for a while there. It had all sorts of oddball stuff.
Or a Marvel Spotlight,
Marvel Premiere,
all kinds of different things.
Marvel Premiere,
and
some real great odd stuff. Wood God is in there. Secret.
When you look at an Overstreet and you get to the M's, it explodes. Marvel everything.
Well, it's like looking up 4-Color.
Dale
every 4-Color was different.
But you know what? What puts them is the Phantom down in Australia. He's probably on like 1,600 or more. He's probably up to 2,000 now, you know, issue wise. They've been publishing that through publishing since 1942.
Oh yeah, real big down there.
Phantom is somehow really big down there. Now I think it's kind of lessened in modern times, but it's still being published today. I know.
And here nobody would even know who he is unless they saw Defenders of the Earth. You know,
and really it was him and Doc Savage, the original Superman with the original Fortress of Solitude, all that lore that Superman kind of stole from. The Spider, the Shadow. I mean, great pulps, you know. Actually, I don't know if you guys know it, but I'm going to do a Western pulp. And in the middle of it, I'm going to do like a DC used to do in the early to mid 80s. kind of like with Arak, Son of Thunder, or Captain Carrot and his Amazing Zoo Crew. I'm going to put 16 pages of sequential artwork in there. So I'm going to combine the concept of a pulp and a comic that has a special 16-page story in it.
Cool, man. Good.
That it's comics. That way you get the best of both worlds. I found out as a writer, Randy, and you should self-identify as this. I can write quicker than I can like get Russ to draw me something, and sequential and stuff.
Well,
it takes time to do that.
Yeah, for me, these Atlanteans have been a joy and a chore, kind of mixed in. I'm learning a lot about writing, trying to do full scripts on paper before I send them to Russ. But never wrote any sword and sorcery material before. But I'm getting it down now, I think.
Yeah, the original stories, he only did like 3, right?
He did a half a dozen. I think he did half a dozen to a dozen of them, but only 2 of them and crossover he did with Brand McMorn were ever printed in his lifetime. So the first one was that he had printed with Shadow Kingdom, and it took him months to write that one story because he wrote it and stuck it on a shelf and pulled it back out and played with it a little and put it back up on a shelf. Then when Weird Tales took it, he sent him a whole bunch of other stories with Kull in it. And Weird Tales only took one that they printed after that. And I think they took it because they needed something for to fill that space. And here was a story by Robert E. Howard with a character they just featured the month before. And they ran that, and then they rejected all the other stories. And out of all the stories that I've read of Kull, the second one that he took is probably the weakest out of the group. And when Russ and I were initially talking about adapting something, I really wanted to adapt By This Axe I Rule, which is just an amazing story of Kull having to deal with being a king. And it didn't have a lot of sorcery in it, a lot of supernatural elements to it, but the story was amazing. And he ends up fending off a conspiracy to take over his kingdom. Basically, at the end, he grabs an axe off the wall and just starts chopping. And then tells everybody else to back off, that he was king. And if they didn't like the way he ruled, they could talk to his axe. And just a great, and he's more cut up and than he's ever been, and barely alive and just gasping against the wall. And I can't understand why Weird Tales didn't take that story, because it was so, the structure on it is amazing. There's a few little soap opera elements that they might not have taken, to a little bit of romance going on by a couple people in his kingdom of different caste systems that Kull was told he couldn't allow them to get married. And then at the end of the story, he's like, you can marry whoever you want, and you can marry whoever I say you can marry, because I'm the king. And, you want to argue with me, I got an axe. Let's go, But what ended up happening is Howard took notes. He took that story, By This Axe I Rule, and added a demon sword to it, changed the main character around, because Kull is a real kind of an introverted soul. He's always thinking and most of the time overthinking a situation, or a lot of times he's before the barbarian in him kicks in. But he took all of that out and called the main character Conan, and sold the Phoenix in a sword back to Weird Tales. It's almost the exact same story, only with a little bit of elements taken out and a demon sword thrown in for a supernatural element. And they printed that story.
As you were talking about that,
started the run of Conan. Yeah.
I remember Rogue Trooper used to talk to his rifle.
Yeah. That's another great property that few people know about,
Yeah, I know Russ knows, because that's uniquely UK, right? I mean, that was all
2000 AD,
yeah,
2000 AD originally, and we kind of got it in Eagle Comics and some other brand over here in the 80s.
That's right, yeah.
And
QC, was it QC Comics?
QSQ, Sal Q Productions, yeah. Terribly done and stretched, because the 2000 AD was more square compared to the rectangular.
2000 AD was a beautiful dimension.
Stretched them up. Yeah,
it
was really nice.
I wish we could print at that dimension.
Yeah,
I'd love to, but A4 is what we're doing is pretty close. So.
Yep.
Yeah, I've been working. I know you guys know Glenn. He's like, I sent him a 2-page ad, and he's like A3, A4, all these measurements, and we worked it out, but it's uniquely British. You know, all these A1s.
Yes, European.
European.
297, 210 by 297 millimeters. It's all in millimeters. But there are inch conversions. So.
Now I should say that Glenn did your logo for you, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, yeah, he
did a couple of logos, didn't he?
Yeah, he did the logo for the Shadow Kingdom and the Brazilian version, which is in Portuguese of that as well. And then we asked him to do the Atlantean. And
that's right. You've actually been doing this in other language.
Yeah. This is going out to Denmark and to Brazil. Yeah. So it's in Portuguese and Danish.
Well, we asked him to do.
We asked him to do this logo as well.
There's your lizard representation for today, Lorenzo. I love these lizard hatchlings coming out. I know Ink Spots did your second cover you. In all 3 issues, you've gotten a different colorist. Who's working with you on the cover this time?
This was Renato. I can't remember his last name. Sorry, Renato, if you're watching. I'm rubbish with names. It's not because I can't remember you. You're brilliant. I'll just look him up.
And where does he hail from?
I think he's in South America. I'm not 100% sure. It's Desanos Rosart. There you go. Desanos Rosart, and he does beautiful work. He's a great artist. And what I do is I do the line work for him, and then he paints
it into a paint.
digitally paints over the top. He's actually done a fantastic. He painted again over my pencils to produce a wraparound cover for the omnibus edition that we're putting out for issue 3, and he's done a beautiful job on that.
You'll see it when we look at the campaign. It stands out. It's just a beautiful cover. Just
fantastic. You're wanting that old Dale or Gold Key painted look, aren't you, on these covers? Or Paul?
Yeah, well, I was just looking for like the Savage Sword of Conan magazines. I just wanted a painted cover because we're doing black and white interiors. It's oversized, it's bigger, it's a magazine size, and we wanted to finish that off. Instead of me doing an ink version and getting someone to color it, I thought it'd be really nice to have artists produce, painted work. It doesn't matter if it's digital or physical; it's painted work, and it gives the magazine a really great feel. So,
are Boris Vallejo or Joe Jusko still alive, or those guys?
Jusko is, yeah.
I believe both of them are. Jusko's been doing a lot of Edgar Rice Burroughs books.
That's right.
I'd love to see you guys land a Jusko cover on this.
It's also very expensive.
Yeah,
right. Sure. Yeah. I saw
worth every penny.
Yeah. I saw the Hulk Superman 1 thing that was painterly that actually done traditionally by Steve
Alex Ross?
dude, Steve.
Yes,
yeah, and he wanted starting like $40,000. So
wow,
and he'll probably get it, folks, because it's got a DC and Marvel character together.
It wouldn't surprise me. Somebody out there will probably.
Oh, that's beautiful! Look at
it. Look at that cover.
Love that cover.
Yeah,
that's a great cover.
Yeah, that's so old school Savage Sword. Love it.
That's the whole idea.
That's coming.
Well, you got to go with it, right? Yeah.
So those are the pencils, nice. And I gave those to Rosart Art. And
you do that digitally? You do that digitally because you got the gray in there as well?
Yeah, I pencil digitally and then I print them out and put them on a light box and I ink physically. So all my inks are physical artwork. Cool. I pencil that way simply because it's quicker. That's all. That's the only reason I do it that way.
See, as sexy as the front cover is, I love the back cover. Is that showing 1, 2, and 3?
That's Shadow Kingdom.
Shadow
the first
Kingdom,
2 volumes.
And issue 1 and issue 2. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, I kind of see Shadow Kingdom as like 1 in a way because that kind of kick-started everything.
It's like a number 0.
Yeah.
Zero.
It's where the characters are. So it's part of our of our skip. It's our public domain. So it's the public domain characters that were from the Shadow Kingdom, and it's their journey post the Shadow Kingdom. So that's where it's all built around that. You don't need to read the Shadow Kingdom per se. You can just start on the Atlantean. There's a few skip backs, especially in the first issue, where it tells you about their journey and what they're doing. And once you're on the journey, then you really don't need to know. All you need to know is there's horrible monsters and boobs and dragons and lizard men, and it's great fun. That's what you're in for.
Well, I know that you're interjecting with the Atlantean issues. You're really taking a lot of the concepts, because I know Randy's kind of looked into it. Have you looked into it yourself and you kind of brainstormed together on this as far as constructing where you want to go with this, or do you leave that all up to Randy, or what?
Well, every once in a while, Russ will tell me he wants to draw something, and then we'll incorporate it into the story. But
okay,
each issue has really been a lesson in writing for me, and it's each issue is very different from the previous one. The first one, I was kind of working off Shadow Kingdom and trying to keep things a little bit more domestic. And then in the second one, we decided to really step up the sword and sorcery aspect of it. And actually, at the end of the first one, Russ had the idea of introducing a villainess and kind of kicking the second book off. And then in the second one, we got a little plot synopsis from Charles Santino, who's written some Conan work for Marvel. And he's like, hey, I've got a young Kull plot. If you think that you can use it, let me send it to you. And with everything that Russ had started at the end of number 1, and with where I was going with number 2, Charles' plot fit in like a piece of a jigsaw puzzle. And that worked itself out really, really well. And with 3, it was all me. I was sitting here at coming up with the plot, coming up with new characters. Russ wanted to introduce a female character, and so we did that. There's a main female character that we can spin off at any time if we so desire. Plus, I sent them back to the original town that they were in number 1, Darkoth, and worked that as like a hub. Yep. So the Lethal, who's the female character, is based in there, along with another cast of characters that we introduce, another 3 or 4, plus the character that we had in 1 who owned the tavern. They go back to the Demon's Breath Tavern. And then 4, go ahead.
I was going to say any pub would do, because it seems in every Conan, Savage Sword of Conan, they go to a pub. And they got scantily dry women, usually laughing. They've got some ale there that's frothing over.
Yeah. You get all that. You get all that.
And it's got to be hell to draw. With all those characters.
Russ says he has a rougher time drawing horses.
Horses. Well, they're
you got to get the anatomy right.
Yeah.
So in the 4th issue, there's a huge herd of horses stampeding practically the entire book.
I bet there is.
No, not really, but there are more horses in 4. With 4, I came up with an idea how to take this story, the second Robert E. Howard story that I wasn't particularly fond of and thought it was a little clunky in parts, and work off from there. And the plot for 4 really bookends that story. So we're going to adapt that second story into this Kull's continuity.
I forgot about dancing on top of the table.
Yeah, dancing on the table. Gotta love it.
That's classic too.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's where we were on the first one, and a bar brawl. Gotta have a bar brawl.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Bit of a punch up.
That was one of the requirements for the first issue.
Yeah, a brawl and dancing women. Yeah,
Dan.
Alcohol's probably been around just about as long as man's been around. You know, I don't know what the first references of it is in the Torah or the Bible. You know, but
leave a little bit of grapes and grain out to dry and ferment a little bit, and then drink and see what happens. Yeah,
I noticed just today on X that Saudi Arabia is coming out with the first date-based cola. I know dates are big in the Mediterranean, and I highly recommend people to eat at least 3 dates a day. I used to do it till I guess I'm going to have to go to the grocery store and get them. I used to be able to get them at a convenience store, but and I've never been a big date fan, you know, but actually they're pretty healthy for you. It's kind of like a superfood, you know.
Yeah.
But I guess over here we prefer apples and oranges and others. Damn that Johnny Appleseed for planting.
More convenient. Yeah.
Here we go. What we got here, Russ?
This is from issue 2. This is issue 2. So we got a little bit more. Yeah, you got a little bit more action in issue 2.
Yeah.
And then right down the other end, there's some of the.
Do you think it gets easier? Do you think it gets easier for writer and artist over time after you get a few establishing things out of the way?
I wouldn't say it gets easier. You do get to work out what the characters are.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I changed up the costumes a little bit in this. They picked up some bits and pieces from this fight where they destroyed a few lizard men, so they swapped some clothes out and stuff, and you know, so you kind of trying to change things up at the same time. So I wouldn't say easier, no, but you do get used to their characters. Yeah.
What about you, Randy? Does it get easier? I mean, you were saying you kind of like took the bull by the horns on this issue.
Well, really with 3, it's very much my story, my characters. See a lot of scenes that come together. 4 is falling into place really, really well. I had a basic plot, and then there's a couple little elements that keep shifting back and forth. I'm in the middle of scripting that right now. But every issue is difficult. The characters, I think, I've got down pretty well, but the plots are really my major concern, and then putting those characters into that plot and seeing how they react.
Yeah. So you're already working on 4.
I'm plotting 5. I've got the plot for 4. I'm doing the script on it right now, but I'm actually making notes now for the plots of 5.
And since we're not on a monthly basis, and we kind of have to rethink, like maybe the soap opera aspect of it, you know, continue next issue, because there are a lot of times between different crowdfunders, no matter how quick you are.
Yeah, but
you're on a monthly basis or bi-monthly. You really have to think about the cliffhanger at the end.
We kind of look at this as like the on the road series of movies with Crosby and Hope. You know who the characters are, and they travel into different situations every volume. So every volume is intended to be enjoyed individually. But if you read them in a row, there is a rough continuity or a good string of continuity there. We are going from point A to point B.
We know where we want to get to in the end, but we could take as long as we like to get there.
And there's a few side quests and a few things, diversions along the way.
We've got things that we want to put in. We've got adventures we want them to have that don't necessarily lead them on the large arc. And every magazine is like 50 odd pages of strip. So it's a small graphic novel in its own right. So you can pick them all up and you can follow the story, or you can just enjoy each issue as they are.
That's kind of what I miss from the 80s is like those special graphic novels. And it seemed like they went through the whole bullpen over there at Marvel. You know, Ron Wilson did one.
Super
Walt
Boxers.
Simonson with, you know, I mean,
those were all disconnected, different characters. Yeah.
It seemed like you got to do what you wanted to do in a graphic novel, you know, and then starting out, you know, number 4 stood out for me by Bob McLeod because it was the first appearance of of the New Mutants.
New Mutants, yeah.
Yeah. And the very first one was a banger with the death of Captain Marvel from cancer. That was really a seminal issue, drawn by Jim Starlin. I always like the cosmic, a good, I'd rather see something than that than like these yearly events that just have multiple crossovers and don't really have that much originality to them.
Yeah,
that's because marketing people got hold of it. People, the pen pushers and the accountants, the marketing execs, they got hold of the entertainment. So they did in Hollywood, so they're doing publishing.
Yeah, in Hollywood.
And
same thing.
And it's just, oh, right, okay, that works. We must do it again. Oh, Watchmen has just, deconstructed all our heroes. Let's do it again, ad infinitum until every comic is exactly the same. And it's like, no, that's not the way this works.
Yeah.
People want entertainment. They don't want the same thing again and again and again. Sometimes they do want the same thing again. Okay. But the trouble is you can do that in single streams. So Spider-Man does the same thing every month, just with a different villain, and everybody likes that. That's great. Okay. But that doesn't mean that every book should be like that. Okay. And it doesn't matter whether it's the good stuff or the bad stuff. Don't make every book the same. And that's effectively what they've tried to do. They see an idea that makes the money, so we must make everything like that, because they're not about telling stories; they're about making money.
Yeah. What, in your estimation, guys, especially you, Randy, you being a writer,
a writer.
I
still draw. I still draw, not often enough though.
What makes a good story?
The ability to entertain somebody, if they can lose themselves in what you're doing, if it's 4 panels or 400 pages, if you can take somebody away from their world and their troubles, their reality, for however long you can do it, and give them some sort of reward and make them feel like that they traveled, and put either a song on their lips or some sort of humor, or just some sort of adventure where they just leave their current cares behind. To me, that's entertainment. That's art.
Yeah.
And I know I've asked this before. Forgive me, guys, for asking it again. Why, if you love Conan so much, aren't you doing Conan and you're doing Kull?
Conan's not in public domain. Conan's not in public domain. The laws that here in the States that went through and shifted, they change with every time, a politician gets paid enough from Disney to try to preserve something or something like that. But the way the current copyright laws sit is that I believe it's like 95 years after the work has appeared, it's considered to be in public domain. So now the magic year is 1930. Anything that was printed in 1930 or before is considered to be in public domain.
And that changes every year because you have things
every January it goes up a year. Yep.
Yeah.
Next January it'll be 1931.
1931. Okay. So
and that's why DC is sweating right now. They're trying to. You see the difference in the Superman S is out there, and that in another like 7-8 years, Action 1 is going to enter public domain.
Yeah.
Not too long after that, Detective 28 will hit public domain. So
yeah.
But all of their inspirations, the stuff that inspired those characters, are currently going into public domain every year as more and more of these great old pulp stories end up becoming available. The Shadow and Doc Savage, 1933. That's 2 years. That's 2 years from this next January.
Is that
less than 2.5 years away?
That might be worth a break at some point to do a Doc Savage and the Shadow team up book. Just saying, Randy.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got his short list. He's got his bucket list down there. Yeah.
I do. I have I know what first 6 Doc Savage stories come out during that year. And I'm pretty familiar with the first early shadows that come out during that time. I'm looking, keeping my eyes open. And,
we don't even have to redo that. We can just put Doc Savage and the Shadow in the same story and produce it and not get sued. That's all that matters.
What?
It's just that we'd have to find a way to sell it because the trademarks of Doc Savage and the Shadow are completely different from the stories that go into public domain. That's why we're the Atlantean, and it's not the Tales of Kull on the cover of the book. But if Kull doesn't have a big scar down his face, he doesn't have the squared crowns, because there are certain trademarks on that character that we don't want to infringe on, because we don't want any type of legal entanglements.
But I'll just leave that there as a little seed. We can talk about it another time.
They did, Michael. The Sumerian books are amazing and great. And at the time that they did them, they assumed that those Conan stories were in public domain.
They are in Europe.
They are in Europe, but they're not in the United States.
No.
It's still a couple of years away yet. I think Phoenix and the Sword was printed in, I want to say 36, but I'm not sure about that date. I'd have to go in and really look at it.
They did the Tower of the Elephant as well.
Yeah, well, Phoenix and the Sword was printed in Weird Tales first, and then everything just kind of broke out from there. Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
no,
I mean, all that being said, how much of Conan is infused into your book? I mean, that you kind of leech. I mean, you're gathering from both, right? I mean, you're gathering
not necessarily. No, I'm trying to stay away from everything that Howard has wrote in the past to try to keep any type of serious connection from going on. Oh, you took that story from wherever. I'm trying to come up with real, original, pulp-ridden, action-packed tales for folks to enjoy.
With that said, Randy, I've heard you say that down the road you'd like to do adaptations of other stuff that he's done, like you did with Shadow Kingdom, to kind of kick all this off.
That there's a number of writers out there. We have a local writer here that's really gone forgotten, that was just as big as Jack London at one point and did a lot of Canadian wilderness type stories, named James Curwood. And he's had like 120 stories of his works put on film, but nobody knows who he is except for the locals over in Owasso, who still his writing tower. He built a castle on the river for his writing abilities. He had everybody from Hollywood fly into him. That's how important he was way back in the 20s and 30s. They would have to come to see him to talk to him about rights. The last bit of work that he wrote that has gone to screen, I think there might have been one more since, but the last big movie off of his material was called The Bear, which is a wilderness story about a large bear that come out probably close to 20 years ago. But he was, at one point, he was as big, if not bigger, than Jack London. And in fact, his character, he's got a character he ran in a couple of pulp stories that ended up being the inspiration for Rin Tin Tin. That's where Rin Tin Tin came from.
That sounds like they did a lot of adaptations. Did they ever do adaptation like Classics Illustrated of any of his work, like they did with Jack London's?
Not that I know of, but one of his properties, I want to say Kimba, but that might not be right. Komoda, maybe. It was Alaskan husky dog character, had two big little books written about it.
What I want to know is, when are you going to introduce some Komodo dragons against Kull?
Maybe. If you see the cover from 3, we've got a lot of little lizard creatures coming at him. So he fights a hydra, a 3-headed hydra in 2. So I'm sure Komodo dragons aren't too far away.
So tell us.
Let me write that down in my notes.
We all know with about the talking Hyboria.
No talking dog.
We all know about Hyboria with Conan, but now Kull is an ancestor of Kull. Of Conan, right? I mean, there is a connection
by tens of thousands of years. Yeah.
And then also his other Solomon Kane. Are they not all related?
I believe they feel they all share the same bloodline. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, the same bloodline. Yeah.
Same thing with Bran McMorn.
Again, centuries apart.
And there's Steve Corrigan, who's more modern adventures, or Castigan. I think it's Corrigan. And there's another boxer character he did a number of stories on as well that are absolutely hilarious, but very, very stereotypical of the day, shall we say. A lot of the characters speak in their own stereotype language, and his treatment of African Americans is really similar to the way that you've always seen them treated from back then. Half-witted and large-lipped, and that kind of thing. In those boxer stories, it'll be a little rough to translate, but you could probably do a good job of them. But they're all. The thing about Howard that amazes me is you sit and you read that stuff. Yeah, but that's Ebony there. You read this stuff now, and you sit back and you wonder where pulps got such a bad rap for being like second-rate material, because the Howard stories that I've written have all been, or not written, but the Howard stories that I've read, you can tell, you can feel or read the quality in them, and the fact that Howard is really sweating over every word in these stories. They're just amazing.
I love Robert
Del Rey's got a great set of paperbacks out that are still available on Amazon, with the majority of his works in it, and I can't recommend his work enough. It's just really beautiful work.
You said he was sweating over he died early, suicide. I think he took the death of his mother very hard.
Yeah.
In his life, for one thing. And they actually made a movie about him a few years ago. Did you see that, Randy?
Oh yeah, The Whole Wide World. Vincent D'Onofrio plays Howard, and a lot of the Howard scholars feel that it's a big over-exaggeration, especially on his introversion. But everything that I've read of Howard, if you read Kull, especially the Shadow Kingdom is a great example. That is, Howard is Kull. Howard is introspective. He's really thinking deeply about everything that he does, every movement that he does. And he strips all of that introspection out when it comes to Conan. Conan is straight on barbarian. Give me a mug, give me a woman, let's go. That type of barbarian stories, where a lot of times Kull is sitting back and double checking himself, asking, it'll take him a second for that barbarian rage to really click in sometimes, because he's wondering if he's doing the right thing.
I don't know what
Conan, it's all grab a sword and go.
I don't know what conveyed that to me as a kid, but just seeing it on stands, it seemed like Kull was more intellectual, like you said, than compared to Conan.
Which is funny too, because Kull is in a more barbaric time. Kull is in the time before Atlantis became a civilization. Really, he starts out, in Shadow Kingdom, he's not even ruling Atlantis. He just became king of Valusia. And then over a period of years, he takes that kingdom of Valusia and incorporates it in with Atlantis. And the other, they're the 5 kingdoms is what they call it. And he takes all of those lands together and ends up ruling over all of them.
Right.
And so there's a big time space in the stories, because some of the stories, especially the stuff that's not in public domain, he's king of Atlantis, and in these stories here, he's king of Valusia.
So beyond the locales and whatever, Russ, how would you describe the world that Kull lives in, that you're trying to depict in these three issues that you've done?
It's barbaric, as in there's no law, but there are great cities. There are smaller places. It's, people don't wander around in loincloths. They do have clothing. They do have in some, there's farming, there's mining, so there is some kind of organization.
There's a little law. There's a little law, but it's not big. Yeah,
a very little amount of law. So it's kind of like, I mean, if anyone's seen Savage Sword, if anyone's seen the Conan movie, you can kind of look at it like that. There were, there were markets, there were people trading, there were farmers. There's all this kind of stuff, and you've got this world to wander through. But at the same time, to a large degree, it is lawless. So you've got to have an eye over your shoulder all the same. Right. So what we didn't want to do is we didn't want to depict a whole bunch of people in loincloths. Right. Because that might be fun for an issue, but after a couple, it starts getting a bit dull. You wanted to have a real breathing world,
as we
and somewhere for him
down
to get
deep.
information.
I always hear these things on the internet about lost civilization, and that oh, look what was discovered. They had like underwater, a computer recovered, a small little Greek computer.
Oh yeah, the I've forgotten the name of it. It's from ancient Greece.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like finding something out of time, like Da Vinci being so, prophetic with all his different inventions of the mind. So
I'm a firm believer in the disaster cycle theory, and that is that every 12 to 13,000 years, the Earth either tips or has a near extinction event where we're all thrown back to barbaric times.
Yeah,
because it's obvious if you sit there and look at what survived, the pyramids, the stuff that they're able to date back far enough, correctly enough to realize there was a civilization here before ours, and either a great flood or the earth turned or whatever. There's a lot of theories out there, but nobody's lived long enough and nobody kept records long enough outside of folk tales for it to back up. That's why we have every civilization has a flood myth. There is a Noah or an equivalent in every culture that you run into.
All of the
sorry,
like Polish. I'm sorry, but like I've gotten into this recently, the last couple of years, and they're talking about the poles on the Earth actually shift at certain points, and if that actually happens, it's going to take out 90% of society. Pretty much.
Well, they're pretty sure that's what happened. I think to Neptune. Neptune is currently rotating.
And from what I've seen of the evidence, dude, it's scary.
Yeah.
I mean, they're estimating it's like another 250 years to maybe 500 years until that happens.
Well, depending upon who you talk to, because like I said, nobody knows. Nobody kept notes.
Yeah, it's all guesswork.
They do know. Yep. They do know that every 6 to 12, sometimes at every 6,000 years, there's a major disaster, but every 12 to 13,000 years, there's a catastrophic disaster. And that's where all of the visitations and angels and say what?
They had the right name, the mechanism,
Yeah.
But this
Ryan, he knows what we're talking about.
This idea runs through Howard's work.
Yeah.
So you at the end of the Thurian age, which is where we are with Kull, before Atlantis sank beneath the waves. There is a tension in the air. It's you've gone beyond. So like a few thousand years prior to that, you had all the old beasts went away, and that's when the serpent men sort of removed themselves from public domain.
Yeah, they went underground.
They went underground, but also you had plenty of these other beasts around, and they kind of went away. But now you're getting towards the end of the Thurian age, before the great catastrophe happens, which is like Randy said, thousands of years before Conan turns up. And at the end of that Thurian age, things are starting to fall apart. Valusia is starting. These things are starting to fall apart.
Well, Valusia is already an old country before Kull becomes king on it.
Exactly.
And it's pretty much the most, outside of Atlantis, it's pretty much the most organized of the countries. Yeah. But what Kull does over the period of his lifetime is he goes through and unites these countries into one large unit, and their technology advances. Just like we're seeing an advance in our technology now. And then at one point, a disaster happens, and Atlantis sinks, and everything jumps back to barbaric times.
But what that is with that deterioration, it gives you an interesting environment to have Kull and Brawl travel, go through the lands looking for the Serpent Kingdom. Now, obviously, there are canonically things happen later on that are not in public domain, so we have to. What we say is that we're not rewriting canon. We're not rewriting what Howard has done in later books. We're filling in. The adventure is in between. So it's directly after the Shadow Kingdom, and it gives us this opportunity to go on a road trip, to discover the environment, to discover the world that they're within, and also have fun with the characters.
And the second Kull story fits into that continuity as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's great.
And that opens a whole different can of worms that we're going to get into in the fourth volume. It's going to be a lot.
We do have a question here that Ryan asked a few minutes ago, and I just found out about the Red Sonja movie that's going to drop this year, I believe, right?
I haven't
they're already filming it.
About it yet.
Yeah,
Red Sonja. Yeah, I saw a trailer for it. Yeah, didn't look.
Great. Really? Well,
I'm going to have to look that up now. Yep.
Did it look good to you, Russ, or was it not that great?
Didn't look great.
Yeah.
But you never know. It might be good. So
it's like the Kevin Sorbo Kull movie, huh?
Oh no, that was great. I loved that.
Oh, did you really?
Okay. Yeah, I loved it. I think it's great. I'm easily pleased.
Sorbo, the Hercules pleased. Who did Kull?
Pardon?
Kevin Sorbo.
Yeah, Kevin
the
Sorbo.
Hercules guy. He did a Kull movie.
Yes, he did.
Oh shit, I missed that one. I'm gonna have to go see
if he ever wants to lend his likeness, we'd be more than happy to put it in.
That too, yep. Look up Sorbo Kull on YouTube; it'll pop up.
Yeah.
Maybe the entire movie might be there. For all
what's
I
the
know.
name was in it? Sweet. She was really big at the time. Was it the girl that was in Wayne's World?
Tia Carrera. Was
that her? She was the villainess.
Yeah, the kind of a God, how do you put this? Is that like Filipino looking girl?
Yeah.
That's Tia Carrera.
When it comes to Conan, I think of course, the writer, but I think of like John Buscema, because I think he's probably seminal, but then you got to go back to those few issues that Barry Windsor Smith's. So for some people, Barry Windsor Smith's kind of the ultimate on Kull, which is very Kirby-esque, very early on in his career. But
Kirby did
nothing wrong with that.
Kirby did the layouts on the first couple of his issues, so you can't look at the splash page for Conan 1 and not see this large extended Kirby hand. Standing there. It's beautiful. Yeah.
But now when it comes to Kull, who stands out to you? I know John Bolton did a Kull story in Bizarre Adventures number
Tia Carrera. That is the person that was in Kull. Yeah. For me, it's John Severin. Those original Marvel stories. John and Marie Severin. Little Bernie Wrightson was in there as well. There's just some classic sequential art there with the early Marvel Kull books. Started out in Creatures on the Loose because they weren't sure Kull could carry his own title, so they stuck him in as a backup feature in Creatures on the Loose for a little while.
He was back up in Savage Sword as well.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
he had his own black and white magazine for about 20 issues, I think it was, with Marvel when Savage Sword was running strong. Yeah.
Those were the ones that were like Savage Sword size, right? They had the painted covers, and I got a few of those.
Yeah.
I always enjoyed Kull. Yeah, look at that, dude.
Always
that looks good. So classic.
This actually has my favorite
that's actual
story
Savage
in it
Sword.
as well. Yeah, it's the actual thing. I've got the first 10 issues.
Nice.
I bought them in an auction.
Got them for a song.
Yeah, I got them for like $40.
I've got
first 10. Pablo Marcos, fantastic work.
Pablo Marcos, hell yeah.
I just love
Savage Sword. I probably got about like maybe 50 issues of that. I was a pretty regular reader of Savage Sword whenever I could find them.
Ran 226 issues, guys.
Yeah.
If I'm not
black and white magazine.
The only reason I know that, I was kind of late to the Conan stuff, and I think what's given me a greater appreciation was buying some original John Buscema pages from Savage Sword
Hey, baby.
all one to the very end, and his early 90s stuff, and just seeing the preliminary drawings and just how he could lay it out just in a few lines is remarkable. You know, the angles, just the characters. It's you know, it's a study in itself just to look at just the gestorial drawing. Now, is that kind of how you try and draw, Russ? Is sort of gestorial and kind of mimic some of the masters of the business?
Well, yeah. I mean, if people have gotten it right, it's no point in reinventing the wheel. So yeah, to a degree, I'll do that.
Yeah. Is there something that you kind of had to fight, and you know, with yourself and your own, we like to say, style, and say, no, that just doesn't look, you know, or have you pretty much mastered it by now?
Oh no, nobody masters it.
Well, I know you two. I know you two have a show that, you know, you have a couple of shows, you know, every week, Friday and Sunday, and you break down and you look at some of these very varying different styles. Noir, it doesn't matter. Sci-fi. You know, I know we look at Morbius,
and we're always learning from it. That's the thing. It's like it doesn't matter what the style. It's like you can look at Mobius one week, you can look at Severin the next, and you can look at
we've looked at after that. We've looked at Don Martin. We've looked at Jack Kirby. We've looked at Wally Wood.
Don Martin.
Great.
You can pick stuff from every style. Every one of these people you put on are just so good.
Even what I call caricaturists like Jack Davis. That I mean, I kind of knew him from Mad Magazine and the different Slim Jim ads and stuff that he did. He did a lot of ads in comics. But now he goes back to EC, like with John Seppes.
Oh, yeah.
The art you get in Mad Magazine is some of the best in comic book history.
Oh, dude, I love those old Mad
Magazines. And the
Al Jaffe, Don Martin.
And you go look back and look at people like Wally Wood. You go back and...
Gaines went through twice. Bill did off of his dad's money. Went through and did EC Comics and then did Mad, and both times he found the best of the best when it comes to writers and artists and put them all into one publication, and that you just can't. That's why the ECs are as popular as they are. You go back and you look, and we did this back in April. We pulled up old Mad magazines from the 70s, and you can't believe the quality of talent that's on there. You open with Mort Drucker and you close with an Al Jaffe fold in with Martin and Dave Berg and all of these just classic. And everybody's got their own individual look. Everybody's got their own individual style. Phobias on Spy versus Spy.
And I was reading those as a kid and never realized the level of artwork I was getting until later.
Appreciate it.
Like, you opened up the contents page and they said it was the usual gang of idiots.
Yeah. Geniuses.
Right. When I was growing up, I never had. Sorry, I didn't mean to step on you there.
No, I'm sorry. I just wanted to say something because I gotta run out real quick.
Oh, go ahead.
But Randy and Russ, I know you both love Conan, Kull, all that good stuff. Did you were you into Lovecraft at all? Did you like the old H.P. Lovecraft stuff?
I've read a little bit of his stuff, but I've listened to it more than read it because
there's a story I came across about 20 years ago. Yeah, about 20 years ago, I came across a story. Apparently, historically, Robert E. Howard and H.P. Lovecraft were actually pen pals back in the day. They were friends.
Yeah. Yep.
So this newer school writer took that concept and made a story about Robert E. Howard going up to I can't think of what they call it, that New England made up territory that H.P. Lovecraft basically created for all his stories. He goes up there to assist him on like a mission. And it's a whole novel about how H.P. and Robert E. get together and have this giant adventure, fight, Lovecraftian monsters and barely survive. Pretty good story. I believe it was called either Shadows End or Shadows Bend. So it was something like that. I can't remember the authors.
they never met in real life face to face, but when
well, that's why
when Howard
this guy kind of wrote the story
passed away, Lovecraft went deep into mourning for a month or so, it is said, because he was about as close to a brother to Lovecraft as there could have ever been.
Yeah, and I didn't even know about any of that stuff until I happened to find this novel, and the guy has a foreword in there that explains it all, and it's very interesting. If you guys are into that stuff, you might want to check it out. I can't remember the author's name offhand, unfortunately.
And
but
how
it's
would
either
these
called
early
Shadows End or Shadows Bend.
How would these early people like Lovecraft and Howard communicate back then? Would it be letters?
Letters, man. Yeah. The U.S. mail, brother.
Yep, multiple pages of letters. I think there's been talk of a hard copy of their correspondence back and forth, but I don't think it's been printed yet.
Okay.
We found that there is. Yeah, there's a 2-book collection of Howard and Lovecraft's correspondence. Yeah, they're really great reads.
Yeah,
they were constantly exchanging ideas, and Howard wrote a couple of Lovecraftian type tales and included Arkham and that kind of thing.
So,
but I don't think Lovecraft ever attempted a sword and sorcery title.
Brainstorm.
No, not that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
But anyway, guys, it's been great talking with you all. I got to run. You guys have a great night, Rex. Have a great rest of the show, and I will see everyone tomorrow. Hello.
Yeah, take care.
You too.
See you.
Well, we're going to do something now. We're going to play the trailer, so you know what that means.
That's Choppy Ass Theater. In the time before Atlantis sank, when the lands of this world were savage and untamed, one man would claim his destiny, seizing his place as a king. After defending his throne and learning the devastating truth of the Serpent Kingdom and its deadly cults, King Kull and his right hand rule the Spear Slayer make a solemn vow to hunt down and destroy the hidden empire of these serpent demons. These are the tales of those journeys. This is the Atlantean. Tales inspired by the brilliance of Robert E. Howard, featuring his first barbarian characters as introduced in the pages of his classic tale, The Shadow Kingdom. Each volume contains beautifully painted covers and around 50 pages of original black and white art and story, featuring classic sword and sorcery adventures you don't want to miss. Join us on these epic adventures. Sign up now for news with the email list at russleach.com. Bring your axe and prepare for battle.
Yeah, I don't know who that narrator was, but he did a very good job.
Some weirdo we grabbed off the street.
If you want to see that, if you want to see that without the chop, you can go to my channel. It's on there.
Okay.
Comic Book Black Belt.
Better still, go to fundmycomic.com. It's the first. Last time I looked, it was the first campaign on the page. Thank you for everybody that's bought in and contributed, because you're keeping us out there and you're keeping everybody else's eyes on us, and we deeply appreciate
it. Pedro Ang did that for us.
And the animation looks a lot better than what you just
that's right. Yeah, you'll be able to see the animation if you go to the YouTube or if you go to.
He really knocked himself off on that.
He did. That was great. Really good stuff.
Pedro did my first trailer, and he's good at that. I kind of hate that all this AI trailer stuff's coming in, because that's going to put traditional, animators. And I know he loves animation. I know he likes cartoons, and that was the first sort of barbarian stuff I saw, was probably cartoons. And then even in the 80s, I loved Thundar the Barbarian, was sort of a future dystopian story. And I hope they do something with that in the future and don't just let that lie there. And I think that was Ruby Spears that did that.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. And, because the big two were kind of like Filmation or Hanna-Barbera. But now, like I say, I first saw superheroes in all kind of genre, Johnny Quest, things like that, long before I ever started to read comics. So that was a big influence on me, and I loved it even before. And there were some greats like Gray Morrow. He did the 67 Spider-Man. He was kind of like Kirby did, which was like concepts, and you could see if you know Gary Morrow's the way he does faces and things like that, you can see that in the cartoon. And then later, you know, Ralph Bakshi came in and added this psychedelia to it later on as it went along. And I know today it looked crude, but as a young kid of about, I don't even want to know, you know, less than 3 years old, lapping this stuff up and still remembering it.
Yep.
And then Alex Toth worked for Hanna-Barbera. I don't know how many years, at least 20 or more years. You know, came up with Space Ghost, which I'm told he didn't even like its design of Space Ghost.
No, it started out as Sea Ghost. Yeah.
Sea Ghost, really?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. If you get the InDesign book, or I think the IDW has a Toth animated, it's got a proposal in there for the Sea Ghost, and they decided to put it in space.
And one of the early ones was Space Angel that he did.
Yeah.
Which was
that's
like
where he really started cutting his teeth,
right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's you can see a lot of those on YouTube. Just type in Space Angel. The great stories, wonderful artwork, very bad animation, and freaky all of the mouths are filmed from actual actors and superimposed over the art. And it's the only way to describe it is ooky. The same thing with Clutch Cargo. Clutch Cargo's like that. And they have another like Captain Nemo type guy who's got a souped up sub that he travels around. That also had a season's worth of Captain Nautilus or something like that. I think they called it.
And if you don't know what we're talking about, Pee Wee Herman, I think, had a pirate that also had the you know, the portrait of the pirate would speak like that, where you would just have that little window where someone would speak with the mouth, because I mean the mouth in animation is hard to animate, all those different, you know, how you form vowels and consonants and all that, you know, as your mouth has certain configurations. And they just said, we'll bypass that, put a little window there, and we'll just have these lips. And under Clutch Cargo, it's like they lipstick it flip up, you know, to show up better. I don't know. It does look weird, but you know,
there's a whole series of fantastic Marvel cartoons out there as well that were done pretty much at the same quality of the old Flash animation software, where you'd see little bits slide across, or little tiny bits of animation every once in a while. But those stories still hold up really well because they took them right from the comics. Better than a lot of the modern cartoons you see out there. Some of those stories
talking about great. Hulk, Thor, Submariner, Captain America, Spider-Man.
No, Iron Man, or Iron Captain Man, America, Hulk, Iron Man, Submariner, and Thor. There were 5
in 1966. And if you know Styles, you're like, oh, that's George Tuska. That's Don Heck. That's Gene Colan. You know,
they didn't try for one style. They just took them right out of the comics and animated.
Out of the comics, right? Yep. And I remember, like in Submariner, you know, he does this like up to his mouth, you know, or often obscure the mouth because they didn't have to animate it that way.
They didn't want to animate it. Yep.
Yeah. And I know, you know, when I was going to say, you know, I was so young, but to me, you go back and you look at it and you go, oh, that's trash when it comes to animation. Well, I mean, it's traditionally done, but and that was definitely on the cheap. I got to say, the Marvel, to me, even as a young kid, just because they did just take it from the, you know, and comics, it was more narration, which was the Jay Ward cartoons did that too. A lot of narration instead of animating it. We'll talk over it and we'll tell you the story, you know, with a few visuals. And
the animation didn't have to be great. They just had to get the point across.
But the Hanna-Barbera Fantastic Four, and I think the 67 Spider-Man that ran up to like 1971, to me, that was some of the best animation. Now you look back on it and you go, man, that was crappy. You know, now it really got trippy in Spider-Man because of Ralph Bakshi, you know.
Right.
Doing those watercolor like.
During that period, though, nothing gets better than the first season of Johnny Quest as far as animation goes. That's
I mean, traditional, right there. It's amazing that animation ever came to be, because you're doing like 24 pictures per second. You know, you work on it all day and you're like, yay, I did a couple of seconds.
Well, they got it cut down to 12 when they started doing Huckleberry Hound and Yogi Bear and that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
They found ways of doing shortcuts.
And Barbarian started out with Tom and Jerry features, because when you would go to a movie, you would see like Walter Lance's Woody Woodpecker cartoon or something like that.
Oh yeah.
And you would have a newsreel, and you would have like maybe an hour's content before the movie even started. And then you would have an intermission because the movie was so long, and then you'd have that intro.
And in that mix, you got a 20-minute live action serial that was always continued. Usually ran 12 to 20 episodes long, but you had Captain Marvel and Spy Smasher and Captain America, Vigilante. You had all of these great Black Hawk, all of these great comic book characters being filmed in live action. Yeah. And starting out in the 30s, so it really all kind of coalesced around the same time, you know. Why do you not think that some of these things that had their roots very deeply, you know, and the editor-in-chief over there at DC that brought back sort of like the heroes and starting around in 56 and Showcase with Flash, he wrote pulps. So why are pulp heroes not more popular? I know that Alex Ross worked with the Superhero Project a few years back, and through Dynamite and stuff, and tried to bring back the Spider and some of these more obscure pulp heroes and Doc Savage. Why do you not think that they are not bigger than life? I know the Shadow, man, you can't ask for better Golden Age covers than those old pulpy painted Shadow covers. Great stuff. You know? The thing with the pulps is pretty much the same situation that you're seeing with the superhero movies right now. You get people in there, have no respect for the material, don't understand what they're doing, just really honestly don't have a basic sense of entertainment. And those characters over time get washed away. It's like Tarzan is a great example. We talked about the Phantom earlier. Same thing. Flash Gordon, the last Flash Gordon movie was almost a joke with Sam Jones. They've been trying to redo that ever since. The last Shadow movie, I've seen videos out lately that have talked about how great it was, but nobody paid any attention to it. The Dick Tracy movie still holds up, is in its own like little world that Warren Beatty did. But the Doc Savage movie, there's never been a decent treatment of Doc Savage out there. That they had a Ron Eli film that if you were to sit and watch it now and again, you might be able to find that on YouTube because nobody wants to claim rights on it.
I like both those movies, The Phantom and The Shadow. I thought were perfectly serviceable films. I enjoyed them.
Great, entertaining film.
Yeah,
Billy Zane.
Movie, on the other hand, it's really bad. It's an embarrassment. If you watch it, make sure you're a little, make sure you've got your tongue in your cheek. And
well, I mean, 1966 Batman, you can say it's 3 years of camp, but I mean, it really saved Batman from being canceled.
Yes, that stuff's classic, though. I mean, they knew they were campy, but they knew what they were.
They leaned into it.
And they leaned into it. You look at especially the later years of Batman, they had such a thin budget. It's not even funny. And it looks like a stage play most of the time. And you go, oh man. But a lot of that stuff is so campy, it's good. Yeah.
Yeah, Julius Schwartz is who I was talking about. H.P. Lovecraft's little agent at one point. And he really bought that pulp Ackerman into the writing and different things. I mean, he cut his teeth very early on the pulps. And wrote a lot of it. And I mean, it has comics have a deep tradition. It really is an American art form, isn't it? It is. And it started with the pulps and the Penny Dreadfuls and other things like that before that.
That's exactly right.
And I mean, we are really creating modern day mythology, aren't we? With and heroes to look up to.
That's the idea. Let's tell Marvel and DC that they're supposed to be trying to do that.
Yeah. Well, what I get is, Randy, you respect the material on Kull, on Conan, and all the writers. When you're growing up and you're reading, I mean, a very young Randy Zimmerman, I take it he was a reader growing up. What did you read? What was your jam?
a bit of a reader. My parents wouldn't let me have superhero comics to start with, so I read every other comic besides that. Well, they considered it too violent. They knew the Batman TV show. Yeah, too violent back in the 70s. So,
Biff,
but anyway,
bam, pow.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
they let me have any comic I wanted. Once I brought a Twilight Zone digest home that had a guy making a deal with the devil, and I was raised in a very religious household. They made the deal that if I threw the Twilight Zone digest in the fire, that I could buy superhero comics. So of course the superhero. So yeah, that was okay. Boom. First thing I ended up getting was Legion of Superheroes and Secret Origin #1, because I always wanted to have a copy of the characters. I knew all about the characters, so I'd stop at the library on the way home from school and read every book on comics that they possibly had. But I convinced them to let me have Strange Adventures with Adam Strange, because I had to explain to my mom, it's a guy in a spacesuit, Mom. He's got a ray gun for a reason.
Artwork.
Yeah, and Carmine Infantino. And he solves problems by using his brain. It's really Flash Gordon. He's not a superhero.
Yeah.
So I was allowed to have Strange Adventures. They were running
Zeta Ray could just transport you to a new planet.
Just great pulpy stuff back then. Very much in that transition period between
Space Pack with the space gun and even a fin on his head.
Yeah, very much a Flash Gordon character.
My first comic was Deathstalker, by DC.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Steve Ditko.
Was that Ditko?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Ditko and Wood, isn't it? Ditko and Wally Wood.
Yep, Wood was inking him at the time.
Yeah. And I remember I was very, very young. I mean, like 5, 6, and I remember tracing or copying the stuff out of the book and just loving it. And the next thing I know, within a couple of years, I'm picking up every comic I can find. 2000 AD turned up, which I was very young when I started reading 2000 AD. I was very young when I got this. Iron Shadows in the Moon, and
let's see that.
That's a pretty hardcore Conan book. So not that particular one. That was the one I picked up in the auction, but I did have it at the time. I remember thumbing through it constantly, just backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards. And 2000 AD, I did exactly the same thing with backwards and forwards, and it was so. I mean, I'm sure that wouldn't have passed muster with your parents, Randy.
Once I threw that book in the fire, they stopped looking at what I was buying. So
good.
I was bringing home Ghost Rider and Son of Satan.
Excellent. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So 2000 AD was very. I've forgotten what it was anti establishment.
I've been going through all 20 seasons of Gunsmoke, and I am on the 20th season. And I just, the Dean of Animal House, the actor, and actually this goes into those Marvel 1966 because he did a lot of the voice work for those. A lot of those. He was like the voice of Tony Stark. He was narrator.
Was he really? All right.
Yes. Yeah.
That was that fat, stupid, and drunk is nowhere to go through life, son.
Exactly.
And
double secret probation. Yeah.
The theme on this episode that I just watched earlier today was, because I come home late at night. Hey, Dave, and put some Gunsmoke on while I'm decompressing, and then get tired and go to bed. Right. And it was all about the importance of education. 3 chickens got killed by a fox while the kid was there reading. It was the kid that was in Salem's Lot with David Soul, which is wild because the next episode had David Soul in it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
They had a lot of people cross through that show.
Oh, they definitely did. Yeah. And it was on the importance of education, where he was like, yeah, you're staying home from school from now on. And then there's the big debate because they didn't have compulsory education in the state there. And it's like, every kid, he went hardcore and said, you just can't go to school. You can't go to school and work, and work. As long as you get your chores done, you can go to school. And he was he was sort of like with math. He was like, they gave like a list about, the judge did about 5 numbers, and he just added it up in his head like that. I couldn't do that, you know.
Cool. Yeah.
And, you know, he finally came around, you know, and let his kids, that's how it ended. A lot of those Gunsmokes were like an open ending. You had to kind of write in your own ending.
Yeah.
I was really shocked by the writing of a lot of those, and that was for several seasons.
They had the top writers of the day on that show. That's why it was so popular.
Yeah. Gene Roddenberry did some of the early ones.
Yeah.
Sam Peckinpah. Good writing, good solid writing. And I saw something recently, and we've covered it, that they were number 18 out of 20 of the most streamed episodes.
Yeah.
The oldest of them all. We're talking, when it ended, it's 50 years old in 1975. So it ran from 55 to 75, longest running Western.
If you ever get a chance, go back and listen to the original radio plays, because a lot of those early scripts were taken right off of the radio play scripts. And Matt Dillon was played by Will Conrad, who was canon later on.
And Will Conrad in, I think, season 19, they had like a great story on the white slave market and the Comancheros, and they would take them, you know, abduct them and take them over the border. And you know, so it's very prescient today with all the border news. You know?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
But yeah, it says, you know,
it was real topical, but again, it was a hardcore Western that entertained people.
Yeah.
It's just like Star Trek. It said it had its morality lessons in it, but it was so entertaining. You never knew that you were being preached at.
And on this episode about education, Doc said, you know, all these years, you know, we've seen pretty much eye to eye on everything, but I got to kind of bucket heads with you on this, you know, because he was like, we have no law. That was one time maybe Matt Dillon was wrong on it, or at least hampered by the law, you know, because the kid was all strapped up on his back. He was all bruised up, like, you know, and so when does it cross over into parental guidance to abuse? So they dealt with some issues on that, you know, on that particular episode. And but now education about reading and the importance of books and having an education. And he even pointed out in there that, okay, the father's father couldn't read, but at least he could read a little bit, you know, so he had some schooling, you know, so why not his child have some schooling, and especially an exceptional mind? But he kind of came around. But Rex has mentioned Gunsmoke so much, Russ and Randy is becoming a drinking game. Yeah, that's true.
Every time he mentions Gunsmoke,
sounds like a good idea, actually.
There you go.
Yeah, toddy before I go to bed.
Well, you know, the you got lizard men in the Atlantean, and I'm working on a Western where there's an ancient race of lizard men, because I mean the reptilian race, you know, conspiracy theory, maybe not. I mean, I just saw a thing in the 1930s where the LA Times talk about these caverns that were inhabited by an ancient reptilian race. And they came out with that in the 30s in the LA Times. So
they attribute a lot of the urban legends about shape-shifting lizard people back to the Shadow Kingdom. And that's really based on, because Howard was a voracious reader, especially of history. That goes back to the Egyptians and other cultures way, way back when. You know, that's why there's a serpent in the Garden of Eden, you know.
Well, I mean, what really struck me earlier, Randy, was you were talking about his thoughtfulness and how much thought he kind of put into his work. And yet they were on a deadline, weren't they? I mean, you got paid by the word, by the letter.
You got paid by the word, but they didn't tell you how many words to read or write, and they went through and edited you pretty regularly. But there was an entire, just like with Burroughs, there was an entire sea chest of stories that they found of Howard's after he had passed that had never been published, because he was constantly churning stories out and sending them in.
You're saying edited. You mean kind of cutting, right? Cutting it.
Yeah. They'd send a story back with notes, you know, and have them rewrite certain. Don't have him do this. Have him do this, or whatever. They would edit them pretty heavily.
Yeah.
That probably goes to that. is attributed to the literary depth of some of these stories have.
He was making a pretty good living. People like Lovecraft and
he was pinching pennies. He was pinching pennies at the time of his death. It is said that Weird Tales owed him $1,500 for stories that they had already printed of his work that they weren't paying him promptly.
He was writing during the Great Depression, right? Through the Depression era. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So he was working, but you were saying it wasn't substantial. I thought, well, maybe I got that from the movie, that he was making, at least a modicum of.
He was, and he was locally known for what he did at the time that he was doing it. Because he was
proficient.
Yes. Prolific. He would sit and write. Yeah. He'd send out maybe 10 stories. He'd get notes back on maybe 2 that he'd have to go through and rewrite, but he was constantly flipping stories over all the time. And then, one would get printed and then he'd see a check from it, out of the 10 that he wrote. So he had quite a bit of stories that never saw print until long after he passed. And a lot of pieces too, a lot of fragments of stories that other people like Lynn Carter and Sprague de Camp have gone through and finished off of his work. Not a lot of these guys got to the level of like James Curwood or Jack London or Burroughs. A lot of these guys wrote like crazy, and they were lucky to see 1 or 2 stories a year.
Yeah. Printed. And if you've ever tried to use a manual typewriter, it is an art all in itself.
It is. Yep.
Yeah. It's kind of like driving those old cars we talked about. No power steering, no power brakes. You really got to manhandle one of those things to drive it. I don't guess Russ ever drove a old jalopy like that where it didn't have power steering or power.
Oh yeah, I've driven plenty of cars without power steering.
Yeah.
It's about what, midnight at your time?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's getting late.
Yeah. Well, if you give me 3.5 more minutes, we'll end.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we'll hit the 2-hour mark. So because I still got bones to pick with you, or brains to pick, whatever. Russ, what do you want people to take away from these comics you've been doing recently? I know you're one of the hardest people working in comics today.
Thank you. I just want people to enjoy it.
Entertainment.
I don't, I've done stuff. I've been out there and worked on large IPs.
That's his resume, folks.
Yeah, I've done stuff.
I've done stuff.
I've worked with the mainstream. I've done work on things like,
Spider-Man,
Batman and Doctor Who and all, all kinds of stuff. So, but nobody's got a clue who I am. And that's just fine with me. No.
Yeah, we're going to change
that's just fine. I don't care. Yeah. What I care about is that I'm connecting. That when I make books, that people are entertained by them at a minimum, inspired by them. Hopefully, that they might go and do something creative themselves, or just exactly like Randy's saying that my artwork is efficient, proficient, and good enough that people can lose themselves in the pages of the work that I produce.
Well, I hear both
and if that's all done, if that's it, then I'm happy. That's what it's all about.
I both hear you saying entertainment, but I mean, doesn't moral ethics and different larger things ever come into it? Now I know this is kind of different from.
Yeah, I think from a story perspective, I think the hero's journey is the core of all heroic literature.
Conflict and how he resolves
it. And how you resolve it, and all those things come into it. But that's not necessarily the be all and end all of the story. That's just the way you depict. That's part of the adventure and part of the environment that you're working within. And also, it comes down to a set of your own sort of moral outlook. You want to work within those frameworks. I don't want to do a story that isn't within those parameters. I want to do a story that's within those parameters. So outside of that, it is just about entertainment. I'm certainly not there to tell people how to think or what to think. In my own graphic novels, Only Death Can Save Us, there's a lot of esoteric stuff in there. But if you don't look for it, it's just a cosmic adventure a la Stalin's work.
And there are parallels with that. There are parallels with that because you said only death can save us in an ancient age, didn't you?
Yeah. It's kind of it's this sort of cosmic opera, and I've still got a third book that's written. I just haven't had time to draw it yet.
Are you guys dropping breadcrumbs and putting threads throughout of like I mean, maybe with it could be a Lois Lane type character, a sub character or something that you kind of introduce in one issue and then she carries over.
I think
we've been doing that since issue 1.
Yeah, there's stuff going on. Definitely.
So you're kind of building the fabric.
Yep. It really comes through in 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
Really does. I mean, like I mentioned, we have a female character in 3 that we can continue on with, an entire setting that we can work with her off of. And then the same thing with 4, we have another character coming in that I'm really looking forward to introducing people to, that it's going to be, I think, pretty unique. And he's going to end up in a great situation.
We're thinking about parallel stories.
Yeah.
And we're thinking about where else we can go. That doesn't necessarily include Kull.
He doesn't have to be the only Atlantean.
Doesn't have to be the only Atlantean.
Yeah.
So we've got places we can go with the story. We can go away from Kull and come back to him. There's all kinds of stuff we can do, but at the same time, always having that Howard feel and the adventure and the sword and sorcery. That's what.
Are they different lengths? You've got 50 plus pages written here on the campaign.
Yeah, it's 50 as a minimum, really. That's what we get. This one's 54 or 56. Actually, it's 56.
56.
Yeah, that I think the whole book is 60 odd pages, something like that. But the next one won't be. It will be back to 50.
Number 2 is 54. Hopefully.
Hopefully it's gonna, because I've got a slightly smaller schedule.
Number 1's 49.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing about it, man. A thinner schedule. When you're ready to go to print, man, y'all get it out. I mean, when is this due to be out? Sometime in November, maybe?
Well, it's no. October.
October. Okay.
Sorry. Yeah. So the
end of September.
The end of August is the end of the campaign.
Yep.
We've got a few bits and pieces to do before it goes to print, middle of September. So it should be hitting people's doormats start of October, possibly even
at
the end
the
of
latest.
September. Yeah, at the latest. Yeah.
At the latest.
And then actually we'll have another campaign starting mid-October. And the book should reach people in January of next year. So that's the schedule we're on.
Yeah. And you're happy with the way it's trending, kind of like building, one campaign.
It is building. It's building a bit slow for me personally, but I have to understand that. Although we did do well from Amazon this month, so it's. I think it's just a matter of you've just got to keep going at it. We've only actually got. I keep having to remind myself we've only got 2 issues out. This is the 3rd issue.
Well, technically, we've got 3 if you count Shadow Kingdom. Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't think you really, really can. It's kind of like that was a separate thing. But it's you've got to give it some time. As soon as you start a new title, it's effectively a new business.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to give it at least a year before you start thinking about where are we going. So that's where we're at.
Well, you don't go into comics to become famous. If you went on the street and said, Stan Lee, there might be 1 out of 20 people know because of the movies. If I said Steve Ditko, when he passed away, he was kind of a reclusive, like you're talking about Russ being. But I mean, people that are legends in the field, you go John Buscema or How to Draw the Marble Way with Stan Lee. They don't know who it is. You mentioned Conan. You're kind of identified with the characters in the books you work on, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think this can only help you when you do go back to your and do the 3rd Only Death Can Save Us. Because you've got that Bronze Age sensibility. Is that what you're trying to do in the Atlantean?
No, without doubt. Yeah, that's the way I draw. It's not going to change. Hopefully I get better. You always want to improve your work, but my approach and the way that I want the art to feel is not going to change. That's the way I like.
Is that because of that's your jam and that's what you think?
Yeah,
and
that's
obsess about all the time is what you grew up on. So you're just got that Bronzite sense. Yeah,
you do what you love, don't you? And that way, the love gets passed on. You know, you kind of you can feel that somebody's put a lot of effort and love into something. I mean,
I had
the work
to say
I
this
did
guy,
on
off the topic, you know, that Elsewin issues, 30-something issues that John Byrne did. It's going to be published. Marvel's going to publish it next year in 3 volumes. I can't, I'm not excited about new books that come out that often, but I've got to say, man, I want to see that stuff.
Yeah, I would like to get that. So it's not Marvel though, is it? It's somebody else. It's the same people that did Fantastic Four, Full Circle.
Right. But I mean, now
they're leasing.
Has to have a hand in it because they own the IP, right?
All they have to do is say okay, and how much are you going to pay us?
Yeah,
exactly.
Are you going
to pay order?
Us? Yeah. I think it's going to be a good seller.
Order, really.
I mean,
the artwork is beautiful. There are pirated copies of Elsewin's out there. I've got 2 volumes myself that fell from the sky. And that it's the best work. We looked at it at on a couple of episodes a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
it's the best work that Byrne has ever done,
without doubt.
Yeah. I'm hoping if they ink it,
that's high price.
No, that's fact more than praise. I hope they get somebody on the caliber of a Terry Austin to sit there and ink it all. Because if they don't, or at least maybe. If they're smart, they'll shoot it off with the pencils.
That's why I think I like the Marshall Rogers Batman so much is because Terry Austin inked him in the mid-70s.
I think relettered pencils will do the job.
Yeah. The Marshall Rogers Batmans though are all classic. That's Steve Englehart.
It's sad. I mean, when you compare inkers or Chick Stone is going to be different than say Joe Sennett. It's just different. And they are Ernie Chan. I like Ernie Chan, but I hate that he overshadowed some beautiful work by John Buscema in those Savage Sword of Conan sometimes, because really he can, there's just straight inkers, but there's also artists that can actually draw and ink as well. So
Sinnott was perfect. Sinnott was an embellisher, but he was also a fantastic inker.
Yeah,
and that's the difference, right? An embellisher takes like layouts and can add and can finish it.
Yeah,
as opposed to a straight inker, he just kind of goes over what's already there, right?
Yeah. But that was like a lot of the work that Buscema pumped out ended up being that way. If he didn't ink it himself, then they had to have an embellisher rather than an inker.
See, I think Thor would have been much better without Vince Colletta on it. Although I appreciate Vince Colletta. I think he probably did great in the romance because he had a very light touch.
He did.
But when you got Kirby, you got to be bold and but one of my favorite inkers for Kirby is Steve Ditko. I love Fantastic Four number 13. Where he inks over one of the only time that and the cover to 14. I wish he had inked him more. And then Joe Sennett inked issue 5, but then did not ink till like issue 40 something or late 30s. Years. It was years in between him ever. And I think probably Joe Sennett was the best inker earlier on for that one issue, first appearance of Dr. Doom. And then that was the first comic book that John Byrne bought. So you can tell if you're a fan, it comes apart. And I can tell you guys are fans of like Conan, because like Russ, you didn't grow up and cut your teeth really on comics as much as you did Conan early on. And it comes across.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I did such a wide range when I was a kid. I was just enjoying so many different things. Like I say,
Captain Britain.
Just Captain Britain, all the work, and there was Buscema was in Captain Britain as well. There was some absolutely great work in Captain Britain, and of course there was all the reprints of like the Fantastic Four by Buscema and Sinnott, and there was the Steranko Shield, and it was just a force of fantastic work.
Yeah, we had Andy
and then all the amazing
Smith on yesterday with Core Draft.
All the amazing stuff from 2000 AD as well. It's such a breadth of work that came to me. I mean, you got Brian Boland in one corner and and then Buscema in another,
but
and
see,
then
I did not see like Brian Boland's Judge Dredd, Judge Death, Judge Anderson, and all that stuff till like Eagle Comics or Quality in the 80s. Really, there was kind of like in the 60s in music. In the 80s, we got like Alan Davis, Brian Boland, and all those UK artists that I'd never heard of.
Yeah, they're brilliant. Absolutely.
And
brilliant.
Alan Moore, as a writer,
And again, Pat Mills is sitting there just like Bill Gaines with EC and Mad. He's going through and he finds the best of the best, the most individual artists he can possibly find to kick this stuff out. And it's all just incredible classic material.
Headless
Bourgeois says, thank you so much.
I've said it before, but the Atlantean is on par with the classic Savage Sword of Conan, and everyone should back it now. Absolutely.
We're trying our best.
Yeah, we are. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And do you see yourself collecting these things? Because they are a larger page count. Do you see them in trade paperback or some omnibus sometime?
Yes. We're offering the first, the Shadow Kingdom in the first 2 volumes right now. We'll probably offer another volume around volume 6 or so.
Yeah.
Probably
you ever going to tackle a hardback?
Yeah. Yeah. So the first issue, there you go.
Okay, there you go.
The Shadow Kingdom, thanks to the guys at Critical Blast with Shadow Kingdom's out in hardback and available right now at on Amazon. We offer this in the pickup tier as well. And it's a beautiful hardback book, and it's got Russ's color in it for the story. Very solid, almost Silver Age feel to the colors on that as well. It's a beautiful package. I can't recommend it enough.
I love that it's kind of frosted, or it looked like that. It's kind of muted.
Yeah, it is,
it's not. Yeah, I like that.
Issue 1 and issue 2, as well as a black and white version of the Shadow Kingdom, is in the Readers Catch Up Omnibus, which is what we've got over on Fund My Comic. And the reason
that black and white Shadow Kingdom is in beautiful shades of gray.
Looks nice. Yeah.
Just look at that horse. Yeah. Look at that horse.
Look at that great horse. Yeah.
So the idea, what we wanted to do is put together a quick, easy catch up of all the books so far, but was cheaper than buying them all individually. So you can buy them all individually. You can do that, and it's slightly more expensive. So if you want to, if you're a collector, we call it a collector's catch up, so people can buy them all collectors, or you can do a cheaper reader's catch up where you can save even more money.
Shipping, I think, on the campaign. I may have to tap into that because I'm behind, folks. But now that's some good stuff.
I'm looking forward to seeing that omnibus and the wraparound cover. The other thing you get is a lovely wraparound cover as well, which is really nice. Now, once we get to, so we've got issue 1, 2, 3 we're on now. We're probably looking at about issue 5 or 6 to finish the first volume up. And so that
probably
will be
6. Yeah,
probably 6. So that will be in the region of 300 plus pages. At that point, we'll take issue 1 to 6. We'll put it in that first volume and we'll make it an omnibus. We'll also make it a hardback, available as hardback as well. So it'll have a presentation, it'll have all the covers in it, all that kind of stuff, like the old Marvel Essentials where they used to pop the cover in. So we'll do all that kind of stuff, and that will be available at that point. And hopefully, I mean, it would be nice to see people collect all 6 and then, keep them as a collector's item and get the omnibus to read, or read the normal ones and get the hardback to put in their bookcase, So that's the idea. Slipcase, we'll see.
This thing costs money, so we got to get
one small step at a time here.
We don't want them to be too expensive. We want people to be able to read them. So
very true.
But I mean, Arrow Comics seems to be doing its greatest work right now.
Well, thank you.
That it's ever done.
I don't know about that.
I think there's a lot of high points to Arrow, and this is definitely one of their biggest. Yeah,
absolutely. And I got to ask you this before we get out of here, Randy. Are you going to work on a storefront for like over there at Fund My Comic eventually?
It's on the list. Yeah. It's been on the list for months. I've been meaning to get to it forever. And there will be one there eventually. Yes.
Okay. There will be. He's got a couple of things to do first.
Exactly.
I have a small list of things. Right up at the top is getting the 4th issue script into Russ's hands, so that he can roll his eyes and go, oh, look at all those horses.
Call those talking dogs.
No now, talking Russ, dogs. Are you exclusively working on the Atlantean, or are you doing other things as well?
I do bits and pieces where people ask me. Your comment right at the start, Devil Flyer, is Rex is yes. If I'm given a proper brief, I will draw for you.
Exactly.
If I get a written brief, a drawing will come. I do other bits and pieces, but I can't give myself over to a strip, as it were, a full story. I can only do the Atlantean, unless, of course, Titan decide I don't know about that.
Okay,
I'm drawing. I'm doing so we're doing every 3 months or so. I'm doing 50 pages of pencils and inks. So it's getting knocked out. I mean, there are times when I think like it would be nice to take longer, but I think it's important to get the work out, get people involved, and So, but at the moment, the only way that I would take a break is if Titan were to suggest that maybe I could do them a backup strip or something. That would be really nice. I would like a go at Conan. But other than that, I can't see any other reason why I would do anything but the Atlantean for the foreseeable future.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know you jumped in with both feet, and that Randy's the taskmaster. He's like, we got to get this thing out.
It's exactly the opposite.
Is it? Okay.
It is. Russ says, I need a script by such and such a date, and it better be here. So like with the third chapter, or with the third volume, I was literally sending him one chapter at a time, because I like Kull, I'm sitting here overthinking every little small plot detail and trying to make everything fit just right, so it all reads really, really good. And then Russ goes, I need it, and then I have to send
a few months ago I saw something. I think right now there's about 25 or more titles out on Conan, so it seems like that there's a real hunger for that retro stuff.
I think there's going to see a big upswing in heroic fiction in general. I think it's not just Conan.
Why is that?
Because there's a desperate need for heroism in the world and entertainment.
Yeah,
there really is. When you see on Facebook, they'll grab somebody and try to show him off as a hero. There's a desperate need to know that there are people out there willing and wanting to do good in the world.
Yeah,
as opposed to tear it down. That's something that we try to do with the podcast. We try to talk real positive about comics and show off the best of the best of the best, because it's the stuff that inspires us.
Do you think the deconstruction that happened in the 80s, especially with Alan Moore and other writers like that, helped?
No, I mean, those things, those bits are classic. Don't get me wrong. Watchmen is an important work.
Brilliant.
Dark Knight is an important work. But the problem is those works were supposed to be the realistic exaggerations of this market, not the touchstone that everybody is supposedly supposed to reach for the pinnacle for. There have been other works out since then. The Nail by Alan Davis is a grand example of that. New Frontier by Darwin Cook, that peels that back and goes, look, really what we're all really about. And this is something I try to get across to people lately, especially. Superheroes are a fantasy medium. They're not a realistic medium. You're not supposed to have so much realism and darkness sitting in there. That's why Superman from James Gunn comes out and everybody's stunned, going, kindness, what is all this about? Nice, light, bright stories of people beating the odds and setting examples as far as morality or a basic sense of ethics are what's desperately needed out there right now, because so many comics, especially in the corporate world, are exactly the opposite. They're all more interested
like
in eating a piece of pizza. Yeah. Well, anti-heroes are only good for so long. You can only eat so much steak before McDonald's becomes very inviting.
Yeah, I mean,
there needs to be a hardcore variety of everything out there.
Yeah, Watchmen and Dark Knight were fantastic. It wasn't those books that ruined the comic book industry. It was editors and marketing people that thought they must do that again and again and again and again and again because it sold well. Then that says, oh, we must do that again. No, they were stories. They were there to do a certain thing. You know, run with what you know works.
Gary says, you mean men don't fly in sky underpants over their trousers? Illusion shattered.
Exactly.
Thanks,
right.
Randy.
No. Yeah. No. Well, Gunn's in interviews talking about how important it was for Superman to have his trousers on the outside. And that to him, that was an important factor. And I totally understand his thinking when it comes to that. Yeah. You know, you have to have these guys out there in outlandish costumes. That's all part of what superheroes are.
Yeah. The thing that ruined superheroes was the lack of spandex. As soon as you start, exactly what Randy was saying, as soon as you start adding realism into it, it becomes ridiculous.
Yeah. I don't want to know that Supergirl pops a zit and destroys her bathroom. I don't want to see that.
Not interested. Not interested what they're eating. Not interested in what their innermost thoughts are. I want to see them beat up the bad guys. That's it. Entertainment. It's a fantasy. Exactly as Randy's saying. Fantasy.
You go back and look when these books were at their height and when they were selling the most. I mean, even before television, the big comic at that point was Captain Marvel with talking alligators and Dr. Savannah and Talkie Tawny, Talking Tiger, running through just the most whimsical, crazy stuff that you could ever imagine. And that stuff was selling in the millions. At the same time, you had Crime Does Not Pay on the stands doing two true crime stories as realistic as they can get, and with all of the blood and the gore attached, selling just as many on the stands. There's room for every kind of comic out there, and the whimsical stuff, like but you go back and you look at those early Batman books with Batman and Batmite and Bathound, Batwoman and Batgirl. There's a lot of real classic stuff here that nobody wants to pay any attention to nowadays because all that stuff's all goofy and whimsical. That stuff's really entertaining.
I think the two main publishers have gone wrong by trying to stuff every possible genre through the superhero genre.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter whether it's slice of life, whether it's, young adult or, whatever it might be. Okay. But everything's got to go through them having a cape on because they don't believe that comics as a medium can work. They think that superhero comics sell. So let's stuff every story into a superhero comic. Well, that's just rubbish because in places like Europe and Japan and Brazil, all kinds of comics of all kinds of genres get sold. And we've even proven that because right now you've got Dogman and Captain Underpants and all kinds of other bits and pieces. But the big two, big three, they just couldn't see it. They can't see it. And
I've seen Westerns trending upward recently. More Westerns.
That's going to go upwards. Yeah, definitely.
Again, heroic tales, just like your Gunsmoke. Take your shot.
Yeah. Is Kull a hero then? I mean,
very
the
much
Atlantean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much morally driven. He'll if he has to, he'll chop you into little bits.
Right.
But I think he has a more moral direction than Conan does.
Yeah.
But whereas Conan's a little bit more out for himself, but he won't hurt the innocent, if you see what I mean.
I think
whereas
whereas
Kull will look after people. Also, he's probably got a more if he goes off on one, if he loses it, I think he's probably more dangerous than Conan is.
I look at Conan as a derivative. Yep. I look at Conan as a derivative of Kull. Kull was first. Kull was Howard. Howard put himself into that work. He literally sweated blood and in order to get that first story out. And he had that character down to a T. And yes, he became king of Valusia for a reason because he felt he could do the job the best. And he surrounds himself with the best. He grows that kingdom out and unifies the 5 kingdoms and turns Atlantis into literally the hub of intelligent thought in the world, in that kingdom, and that kingdom ends up lasting for thousands of years beyond him. And it's all off of what he did. And all of this stuff all comes through his ethics, his sense of ethics and morality, and all of that's in. You'll see as we go along, all of that's been grown into Kull through his experiences as a youth, and he's been all over the place, just like Conan has. Only in a different different sense of civilization. Conan is a lot more barbaric and a lot more stripped down than Kull is.
Yeah. What I like is that you can go way back in time, and so it's kind of like a blank slate. But now you're not really starting on a blank slate, although you have a lot of leeway there, because Howard has laid a basic groundwork for you, right?
Our foundation, though, are only those stories that are in public domain. We have to be really careful not to impinge on any of the other parts of that, and
like you
build
were saying,
off of what we've got
and
here.
Other things like
that.
That's Marvel. That's Marvel's color.
That's Marvel. Yep.
That's
the squared off crown. That's Marvel. Yeah.
We don't do that.
Nope.
So, and that's like I've had sort of questions like, oh, why is he? Why I didn't expect him to be in breeches, trousers, or I don't, why is he sort of like, why is he not shaven and more king-like? And it's like, well, first off, we've got to give him his own persona. We've got to see it, an original version of him derived from the Shadow Kingdom, okay? And secondly, they're out on the road, okay? They're in that environment, and it's not barbaric per se. It has got, it's almost, I suppose it's a little bit sort of medieval England or medieval Europe. It's got that kind of feel to it,
Yep.
So
in Shadow Kingdom, when he's introduced to the Serpent people, he has a rough time wrapping his head around it.
Yeah.
He knows that in the old days there were monsters and spirits and all of this, but up until the point of Shadow Kingdom, he's never really had to face it impinging into his reality. And that's been part of the interesting part with the story, especially in like in issue 1, where you think that there's some fantasy elements there and some crazier than what is actually going on happening in the first issue. And then after that, all the bets are off, and we really delve into the mystical and the supernatural part of it. So we brought in a lot of elements out of the Shadow Kingdom.
Except for Ray Harryhausen, which has got to be an influence on you guys. I've never seen a Hydra, or battled a Hydra or walking skeleton soldiers or any of that. But that's
I'm sure we'll get skeleton soldiers at some point.
They're on the list.
You need just watch some Harryhausen movies. You'll get Clash of the Titans, something. You'll get some inspiration.
That's effectively what we set out to do.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We've just set out to have adventures. We're fortunate enough to have Kull, a fantastic character by a wonderful writer in public domain that we can source and leap from. And like I was saying earlier, we don't touch the later books. We fill in. So we're not rewriting canon. We're simply adding to what Howard had. Yeah. And by doing that, we've sort of created this environment, this world for us to springboard off onto and have adventures.
And you're depicting
it's all about entertainment.
You're depicting Atlantis at some point, right?
We don't
there
know.
There aren't any plans on the boards for that, but when they do, it's going to be a newer looking city than Valusia, because it is.
Yeah. Valusia is like a medieval city, whereas Atlantis is something a little more special than that.
Yeah,
Valusia is a major, tired, almost ancient kingdom at the point that Kull comes in and starts running things.
Yeah,
it's got a lot of history behind it already.
A lot of history. Yep.
Yeah. And they've been through a lot of stuff just to get to that point, right? Yeah, I mean, so you can delve into some of the history.
Kull has that's in Shadow Kingdom, where we show a little bit of his past. There's a little bit more of his past in number 2, There'll be a little bit more of his past in number 4.
Well, guys, where can they find you? Randy, where can people find you?
If you want, the best place you can probably get a hold of me at is on Facebook at present. I do a little bit of X. I want to get over to Instagram real bad, but Facebook's really the main way. Also, if you're interested in comics at all, we do 2 podcasts a week. One Friday morning at 5 a.m. Eastern time called Comics by Night, and another one called Sunday Funnies at 9 a.m. on Sunday mornings, where we look through great old comics and stuff associated with them. This week, we're looking at, what are we looking at? We're looking at the artwork of Jim Holdaway on Sunday. He's one of the artists that was on Modesty Blaze for about 10 years. Fantastic. And then on Friday, we are looking at Will Eisner's adaptation of Moby Dick.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I think very, very few people have seen. It was one edition of it by NBM Publishing back in '98, I think it was. I've got a copy. We'll be looking through it then.
Yeah, Eisner, I mean, you got to call him an early independent and a maverick. I mean,
very much so.
Not only the Spirit having a special comic book section in the newspaper, that was innovative, but he really did do some of the early graphic novels.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He was the architect of modern comics.
Very much so. Yeah.
Yeah. Russ, where can people find you?
You can find me over at russleach.com. Sign up for the email list there, so you can find out all about things the Atlantean. There's news from time to time. It's not just our campaigns. When the books are available at retail, also if there are any digital versions, which will be something that will come soon. So just if you want to keep up to date with everything the Atlantean, go to russleach.com and sign up for the email list there. All the other social media connections are there. You just have to click the buttons. Go find me.
And of course, you can get updates on all their campaigns when you sign up early, right? Because you have a sign up, don't you? Or do you just not?
No, I just have the email list. You go to the russleach.com.
Okay.
Yeah. So you go russleach.com, you subscribe to the email list.
Yeah. These guys
that way,
they really do. I mean, I see very little buildup, but now I usually Atlantean 3's out. Okay. So
I mean, it's
they may do a little something like that.
Best way to stay in touch with that is the russleach.com. Russ sends out a newsletter. I think it's like once every other week or so when we don't have a campaign running.
Once a month, I'll send a newsletter out just to say hi and this was what's going on, and maybe there's some preliminary work, and I'll just show stuff. And then when we've got the campaign going, you'll get one every other week or so, just to tell everybody how the campaign's working out, whether we've hit our targets and all that kind of stuff, and if there's any other news. So that's the best. I think I've got about 800 people there on the email list now. So it's growing steadily. So rather than doing preview places where you can go and sign up early, you just sign up for the email list, and you'll be informed as to when everything's happening.
Randy, I got to ask you just real quick. Is there anything else exciting coming out from Arrow Comics beside the Atlantean?
The Out of Obscurity anthology is going to press this week, and that's late. The Little Mermaid is going to press here pretty quickly. Both of them have been plagued with deadline dooms and extenuating circumstances. Other than that, I'm hoping to have an omnibus collection of my work, mine and Susan Van Camp's work on Tales from the Aniverse that hasn't been seen for like 40 years. We're going to have that all collected out in a set of 3 volumes, it looks like now, because Sue Van Camp has painted a fresh Vixens cover. She's doing new material for the Vixens book. We'll have all of her Vixen stories reprinted in 1 volume, all the Tales from the Aniverse stories reprinted in the main volume. And then the 3rd volume is going to be fan art and synopsis, pitches, other artwork that we've done over the years that's around the Aniverse. And we've got a very, very big cover lined up for that I can't wait to tell you about as soon as we have it in hand for sure. But then I'm also hoping, depending upon the cost, that we can put that in a slipcase and just offer it as one big collection of 3 books. So there's a lot of Anniverse material. I've been sitting on a T-shirt box full of fan illustrations by a lot of people and a lot of people you don't know that I've been wanting to print for the last couple of decades. We're finally going to get around to getting that out.
That's where I first saw you, Indy, and I've talked about it before, was Chicago Comic-Con at the time. 1995-86, which was 2 great years because DC was celebrating its 50th anniversary and Marvel its 25th. So those were big years.
That's when Arrow started, was 85. So it'll be the 40th anniversary.
About comics and how to write comics and the Anniverse and all like that. And it was all new to me, at that point. And I love your story about George Perez coming up to you and going, "Hey, you're that guy."
Oh, he jumped out of his chair, stunned me, gave me the largest ego boost you'd ever. I was right in front of Stan Lee too, which was really awesome. But I was having books signed for Stan and took him some copies. Tales 3 was out at that point. And George literally jumped out of the chair and went, "You're Randy Zimmerman. You do Tales from the Anniversary. Your stuff is great. How do you respond to that?" "Oh, I like your stuff too, George."
I would love to see a collection of that. And like you got the Full over there on Find My Comic, other stuff, Arrow Comics. Go check them out. Maybe they'll have a storefront at some point. I know Luke Stone loves to kind of push that over there, and I'm glad he does.
I know, but Luke's been super busy. He's been keeping himself extra busy, and doing Fund My Comics has taken a lot out of him. So if you haven't been to fundmycomic.com, definitely go over there and take a look at those campaigns. There's some great stuff over there just begging to be read.
Russ, go feed the cat. I saw the cat earlier, and go to bed.
It's time for him to go to bed.
It's time for me to go to bed. Yeah.
My wife's already turned in too. So
appreciate it. Keep collecting.
Thanks for having us on
tomorrow.